sont dits partout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about the news, culture, things like that. We're back from our 2-week break, which ended up being 3 weeks.
Not my fault this time.
Not Robert's fault this time, but is it anyone's fault really?
No. Maybe Jesus' fault.
Maybe Jesus. I know, having him being born and all. But yes, we're back from our break. I hope you didn't miss us too much. Speaking of the man himself, with me as ever is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I've been talking to a black screen for the last 3 weeks. It's been, I haven't been getting a lot. Yeah, I just talking to a black screen. It's been fun. But no, it was a good break. Sometimes I do enjoy like kind of the our end of the year break just because I'm super busy at work. I also got really freaking sick. I was down for the count for about 4 days. But it kind of all culminated on Christmas Day. I'm still getting over it a little bit, but
right.
Yeah,
cough is the last thing to go.
Yeah, it's always the last thing to go. Although it's about dead, so that's good. But yeah, no, Christmas Day, because I had a few days off, and I think my body just finally gave up on me. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna be sick for the next few days. So yeah, that sucked, but gave me a chance to watch some movies and stuff. So that was fun. And my wife, for the most part, she helped me get better and left me alone. So that was kind of nice.
And that's usually a rarity.
She was, no, she actually was really great. She did help me out a lot. She helped me to feel a lot better. I know it was tough on her, but she did a great job in making sure I was okay. So
she did her wifely duty.
She did her she did her wifely duty. So it was all good. What did you do during the break?
Oh, I did the usual family stuff. Had our family. What's become a bit of a family tradition is our Christmas Eve shrimp boil.
Oh God, I'm actually really jealous about that because I love a good seafood boil, whether it be crab or shrimp or crawfish.
Right.
I haven't had crawfish in a while. We'll have to do that at some point. We'll have to have some crawfish.
Or we could just go to a Asian seafood buffet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that's a ticket.
Yeah, but I'm very jealous.
Yeah, that's cool. What else?
Well, we did get together to watch a new movie, which is kind of a rarity for us.
That's right. Yeah.
We watched Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, which was quite the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was a group. It was a bit of a group activity because even James was there too.
Yeah, James, my wife.
Yeah, it was actually his idea to watch the movie, and we watched it on Christmas Eve or the eve before Christmas Eve.
Yeah, we watched it. Yeah.
So the Friday before Christmas Eve.
I thought honestly that it was great. I did like the movie a lot, and typical of like a Darren Aronofsky film. Mm-hmm. The characters are very compelling, but they're all horrible. They're horrible people.
I thought the performances were great, but I hated the characters.
Exactly. It's like it's a train wreck that you can't turn away from because you want to see what happens and you're compelled by the story.
But then also in this case, since we watched it in theaters, I paid like $20 and it's like I pay $20. I can't just walk out. I just can't walk out the theater.
Well, did you regret spending the $20 on the film?
Uh, I don't regret the $20 I spent so I could hang out with my friends. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I think I probably would not have liked this movie as much
Mm-hmm.
had I watched it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think kind of like, yeah, because we were there together, it made it more enjoyable. And like I said, we had a fun discussion afterwards about the film, and
Right.
it's always kind of fun seeing how everyone kind of sees the movie.
Yeah.
Um, that scene where he gorges himself is one of the most disgusting scenes in movie history. Oh my god, so fucking
Yeah,
gross.
just like when he is brought down like emotionally, like to a new low. He Brendan Fraser's character. He's morbidly obese. I mean, I don't. I'm sure I'm not spoiling anything for anybody saying that. But there's a scene where he's just brought down emotionally, and he begins to because I mean, I guess a little bit of spoiler here that in the movie he's dying, because of his obesity.
No.
And and so this he has this one interaction, uh, and with a would be friend, and it sends him into like a tailspin, and like he just becomes like ever more like self-destructive, and it's just like the sounds, it's just like the chomping noises, and the labored breathing is just one of the most uncomfortable experiences in a movie I've ever probably
God,
experienced.
it was so gross. And
Yeah,
I
and I
think
mean, I watched Titanic with my sister. Well, my
oh,
family, but we were like separated. So my parents were watching it in one part, and I was like sitting with my sister in another part, and I had to watch a nude scene with my sister.
oh, gross.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
I
that scene where he's like gorging himself, that's more uncomfortable than that experience.
wow. I think I think during that scene, I think I whispered to you, it's like, man, where's Richard Simmons when you need him?
I know, right? Say, let's jazzercise.
Because that's what he used to do. He used to help people like that character
Uh-huh.
to lose weight.
Right. Yeah. And I remember. I remember that episode of Sally Jesse Raphael.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of you who are too young to know, when
Man, that's really
when daytime talk show like ruled the world, there was this one host by the name of Sally Jesse Raphael, and she had Richard Simmons on, and Richard Simmons had brought on one of like his clients or whatever, and it was like this obese woman, like kind of like a la the character in The Whale, and she's like bedridden and she couldn't move, but she desperately wanted to lose the weight, and one of the first kind of exercises that they did, or like the only exercises that she was able to do, was clap.
Yeah. Hey,
because she was so big, and she there was no getting her up out of her
of course
bed.
not. No, she's
So the only parts of her body that she was able to move around were the extremities, at least, were her arms. And so like every day, like Richard Simmons would come, and like they would just clap together, just to get her heart rate up.
Yeah. He was such a good. He's actually a real. I mean, yeah, he was gay as fuck, but like he was such a good guy. Like I think he really did care about those people and wanted them to be healthy, and like he genuinely wanted to help them.
Have you ever seen footage of like early Richard Simmons?
No.
It's quite hilarious, because he like, so if I don't know if you're able to find this on YouTube, but if you track down old fitness videos of Richard Simmons before he like went to embrace the whole like bedazzled loose fitting
I did
tank
love
tops.
Dazzled Richard Simmons though.
Yeah, but he would like it was funny because like the videos, like he was doing exercises but like in khakis and like a polo shirt.
Get the fuck out of here! No.
Yeah, and he definitely downplayed like the flaming.
But man, yeah, but like I said, he he really did care about those people, and like I think he helped a lot of those people, like lose weight, and they were able to get out of their freaking house.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think a lot of those people that did like kind of embrace what he was trying to do because they did know that they needed help, and so he came and he helped them, and they lost the weight, and they were able to at least. I mean, they weren't fitness models, but like they were healthier. But you know, another little side tangent on like Sally Jesse Raphael. Like when I was younger, because during the especially during the summers, like I obviously like daytime TV was like
Yeah.
what that was what because for me, what my mom would watch TV. So whatever she watched, that's what I watched.
Uh-huh.
And I remember like seeing like Sally Jesse Raphael. I was like, wait, is that like three people? Like, does
I
that
know,
mean like
right?
different hosts?
Right.
Like, it's like, oh, today it's just Sally. Tomorrow it's gonna be Raphael, or like, it's
Yeah. It's so funny because like she never got the what is it, the abbreviation.
no,
Yeah, like SJR.
she never got that.
She never got that. I don't know. I maybe it was just. Admittedly, it was really fun to say like her whole name.
It was, and yeah, but it's kind of funny, like now. Well, maybe she missed that movement of the of like the abbreviations and all that stuff. But like, yeah, she they never abbreviated her name ever.
Mm-hmm. Or like or yeah, and just like kind because like or it's like the weird like the weird like smushing of name. Yeah, that was I think Sally Jesse definitely predates that phenomenon.
Yeah, because now it'd be like SJR.
Yeah, or like or like with even like with Scarlett Johansson, like it was ScarJo and.
Oh yeah, they would do that nowadays.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then is in like daytime. Man, a part of me does miss the old daytime TV talk shows.
90s daytime TV was like it was such trash.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's better than like it was fun. It
Right.
was fun.
I mean, of course, like you have like your big like tent poles, like Jerry Springer and stuff.
Of course,
but
it's like,
yeah, but even like and like even Maury, like he started out like as a pretty legitimate like talk show host, and then he just like kind of devolved into like paternity test, and he was one of the like
you are the father,
right? You are the father. Like he brought on people like with like a couple with like a kid, and like the paternity is questionable, and they do paternity tests, and it's like like the big reveal. It's like you are the father, or like especially great when when it turns out it wasn't the father, and just how like happy the guys end up being.
The dude to like run around the fucking stage.
Yeah, like high fiving everybody. It's like
everybody. Oh, it's fucking stupid. It was great.
Although like at least those like those, and it was fun when it was like the guys that didn't want to be fathers, but it's like it was heartbreaking for those like who like actually wanted to be dads, and like and like really viewed the kid as their own child, and then when they find out that it's not biologically theirs, and
those were not fun.
Those are not fun. Yeah,
like it's funny. Like it's one thing that people don't remember about the Jerry Springer show is that used to be a political discussion, talk show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because everyone like forget, everyone just thinks about the drama or whatever, but but yeah, that's where Klansmen and and Nazis and the Jews got together, like actually like hashed things out.
Yeah, it was kind of a very fascinating show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they just like, maybe there was like one of those shows like where it did get a little heated. It's like, well, let's steer into this fucking skid.
Yeah.
And that's what it ended up becoming, crazy.
It started kind of like on Twitch, like the different metas that's, Twitch streamers are going through. I mean, particularly with like the ladies, like with like the bathtub streams.
Oh god.
That's kind of like that's early on daytime TV talk shows. It's they kind of embrace that meta of like the drama and like the the
Oh yeah.
trailer, the front lawn trailer park, like, domestic dispute, but they just brought it onto TV.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just all that stuff was so much fun. It
Yeah.
really is.
Dude, and
And
I still remember. I think Mari might have been responsible for like the whole like the introduction to like the whole trans thing. But I remember he'd had the like a few episodes or a few metas that he would do about like a man or a woman, and like he would bring like either transvestites or transsexuals on, and people like the audience would be like, oh no, that's a man, that's a man. They're all they look like women, of course, and then they would
yeah,
all like reveal whether they were men or biological, I guess nowadays biological women
Diane,
or
I'm actually a man.
and it's like,
Actually, Diane,
actually, I'm
I'm a
a
whole.
horse. So
Actually,
actually, I'm
I'm
a
a.
broom.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Fuck.
So actually, Diane, I am surprised. But yeah, it's like it was so like funny because like the creative ways that they would reveal whether they're men or women.
Well, and like obviously, The Simpsons kind of made made fun of that like daytime phenomena too, with in the episode of the Homer Badman, where Homer's accused of sexual harassment and all
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
And there's like they were actually it's funny because the one show that like the first show that that Homer was watching, it was kind of a parody of Sally Jesse Raphael,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like mothers and daughters brought together for the by their hatred of Homer
Homer
Simpson,
Simpson.
and it's like I've never met them. I've never met Homer Simpson. I don't know Homer Simpson, but it's like your tears to say more than real truth ever could. And it's definitely Sally Jesse Raphael because they had the glasses and the
Yeah,
red,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like oh my god. And then right after that, you have the like the show that like they turn to is like Ben. It's like the bear that is like the host of this like talk show.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
Ben, I have a question. It's like, and he starts to go over towards the food. It's like, no Ben, no.
Yeah, he
And like,
starts mauling the shit out of him.
yeah, oh, it's fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
but daytime TV.
it
But
was
anyways,
fun.
yeah. It's yeah. I mean, yeah. To get back to the original, talking about the whale. Yeah, just yeah. I mean, the way I put it is, good performances, but I hated all the characters.
Yeah, exactly. It did feel kind of yeah. It did have like a characters you would see on like a daytime television show. Like, you have like this super fat dude who can't get out of it. He doesn't want to leave his house. He's almost like he can't really leave his house, but I think he's also agoraphobic. I mean,
Right,
I
he's
think
a bit
that's
of a
one of the
shudder.
things
Yeah,
that
there's like there's trauma there, but it's I don't know. It's but like he's like a but he's kind of a shitty human being, because
he's
he
not
was
a good person.
yeah, because he had a family and then he left his wife and kid because he turned out he realized that he was a homo, and then you know like he and he was a teacher, and then he dates one of his students, which turns out which ends up becoming his lover, and and
And
then
you never um and the person that he was with also had a lot of whatever trauma or whatever.
mhm,
uh, he was like part of like this like family that like was involved with a cult,
mhm,
and so he starved him. We don't this all happened in the past off
right,
screen.
mhm.
He starved himself to death, which is kind of the exact opposite of what our main
Right, and
character.
I think that's the trauma which gets the Brendan Fraser character to become obese, because like they in the movie he said like, oh, we kept trying to get him to eat but he wouldn't, and so like I think he internalized, Brendan Fraser's character internalized that, and he made it his own trauma, and so that's why he became morbidly obese.
Yeah, but and then you have the super rebellious daughter. Yeah, she's almost like the catch me outside. How about that girl? She's
Hmm.
kind of like that. Kind of this like super
You're right.
sassy
It
girl.
like yeah, everyone in this movie is like an archetype of someone you'd find on like Jerry Springer or 90s daytime talk
Yeah,
show
it
TV.
really. It's funny like us talking about it right now. It's like God, that's so. This is yeah. I wonder if that's what Darren Aronofsky was going for.
Right. Or or I think that's what maybe the playwright was going because this movie was based on a play,
Oh,
and
that's right. Yeah,
from what I'm hearing, like Darren Aronofsky did not stray at all from the play because like I think someone
I
put a
would love to see that
someone
play.
did a compilation thing where they took like scenes up from the play that that were recorded and they played it right next to um, scenes from the movie and there's like one for one.
I'd actually really want to go see that play. I think that would be really interesting.
Right. But yeah, just like like the worst kind of human being. Like the mother is like completely like, or the ex-wife is like completely detached
She's
and like no, like
she's
doesn't like
mouthy. She's
she's not like invested in her daughter's life at all or trying to like course correct and like the
she
daughter's a
thinks
like
she's like super evil.
daughter yeah daughter's a complete piece of shit and just like what is it like even makes fun of her dad for being like morbidly obese and like puts his like plasters his picture all over social media or whatever. um like there's like like this missionary kid he's like going through like some sort of like crisis of faith, but he's a shitty person too because he stole from like the branch of the cult that he's from back in
Like Idaho or something like
Idaho or something. No, like Ohio
Iowa.
or something, Iowa or Ohio, something somewhere from the Midwest because this movie takes place in Idaho. But yeah, he's like and he like and he's like familiar with drugs as well because the daughter offers him like pot or whatever. Um, but like like the big thing is like, and I don't care. I don't much. I'm not saying like he's a shitty person for the drugs, but he's a shitty person for stealing money. Uh, I mean, yeah, I know. Like, I know it's stated to be like a cult, but I think it's just like kind of like a really um, fundamentalist kind of like Christian
Yeah,
group.
like I said, it's a group that we hear about offhand from our characters, but we don't actually see anything of like
Right,
their
or anyone like anyone from that group outside of like this shitty kid who stole money and ran away from home.
exactly
And and is saying like, "Oh, God sent me here to like save you" or whatever.
right.
Right, and then like you have like the enabling sister of Brendan Fraser's character's like lover, who who yeah, I mean yeah, I get it. Like she might have tried to get him into programs or
I
whatever,
think
or
she's the least shitty of all the characters, but she's still like not a good person
no,
because she's letting she she probably was like one of those people like she wanted to rebel against her family. She like, oh fuck the church. I'm out of here. I'm not gonna do that. And then obviously she cared about her brother. Watched her brother essentially kill himself because he wanted to pursue this gay relationship. And then and I think she did have the power to help Brendan Fraser's character, but she just enabled him the entire time.
right, and she held like she had way too much like trauma from like whatever like growing up in the church or whatever, and she was probably adopted, which only added to
She no,
like
she was. She did
yeah
say
yeah yeah, and so yeah, so that only probably added to like her traumas and feelings of alienation or otherness, being like because like the character was Asian, and so
she did a great job though. She was fucking
yeah,
amazing.
I don't fault anyone for like their performances because the performances were genuinely good. I thought, I really do think the performance that each of the actors.
Everyone there did a fucking fantastic job.
Yes, but I just hate all the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the nicest thing I can say about this movie, because like,
But I think
I'm desperately trying to separate art from artists here, because like, yeah, you acted the shit out of that role, but your characters suck balls.
and I think that's the power of what this film, and well, and obviously, like, if he didn't deviate from the play, that's what the play does, is it makes you have an emotional reaction to the characters. Maybe somebody likes these characters and feels sorry for them.
Mm.
We think that all the characters are fucking horrible, but we have a reaction to that.
I guess so.
I
Yeah.
think that's good writing, because it's not whatever you feel something, and I think that's good writing. That's a good story.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Um,
perhaps.
well, and all of Darren Aronofsky's characters are horrible. Like, if you go back to like Requiem for a Dream, do you like any of those characters? I don't.
True.
I think they're all horrible. It's a great film. I love the film. It's really good, but they're horrible. They're all horrible people, including the mom, who is completely, like, blitzed out of her head,
Mm-hmm.
and having her problems. You have, Black Swan. Maybe the most sympathetic character that Aronofsky did was what's her face's character?
Natalie Portman.
Yeah, Natalie Portman. Maybe, because I do feel sorry for her character. That might be the only one. And then you watch Mother, which is another really fucked up movie. Oh my god, that movie! I just had a really hard time with that movie. It was good. I liked it, but at the same time, I was like, I felt so uncomfortable the entire time.
Hmm.
Um, and then you had this movie, and it's like, yeah, I was super uncomfortable watching it, but at the same time, I had a reaction. So to me, like, I think that's kind of what this director goes for, and it's like, I don't think he cares about the reaction you have to the characters. He just cares that you have some sort of, like, reaction or feeling towards what he's putting out there, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent.
I guess good for him.
Yeah. But like I said, I like the movie. It was fun. I'm really happy I watched it in the theater with all you guys, because that made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta watch it with you guys, but like, kind of regretting that $20 price tag.
Yeah, it made it worth it. And then we had dinner afterwards. Now that's always a lot of fun.
I don't know. I mean, we're in a time, where that no one's, kind of like the criticism of like Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino. It's like, we're no longer in like the age of like storytelling. It's just all, it's all spectacle.
I actually,
and it feels like if Godfather came out like now, then I would, maybe say, yeah, the $20 would have been worth it.
yeah. It's funny that you bring that up, because I was listening to a podcast, one of the podcasts I listened to today, and they were talking about, like, film, what the problem with film nowadays, and one of the guests was saying that, like, yeah, because he's working on, he's doing like a screenwriting class or whatever, and that means he got to watch a lot of movies during this class and kind of go through cinema. And he says the problem today is that, yeah, everyone's so focused on, like, creating a franchise or a universe, but no one's focused on the actual storytelling. And he's like watched a bunch of stuff from from the 20s through the 90s, and it's like storytelling was a big key. And then along the way, like in the last like 20 years, storytelling has kind of fallen by the wayside. And that's where, like, you have less and less movies like when you look at like best pictures and all that stuff, it's like it's not about the story. You know, you get all these stories. It's like it's about the representation, reimagining. Blah blah
Right,
blah.
yeah. If you just think about the last like even five, Oscars and like all the movies that are up for, Best Picture, it's like who actually saw these movies?
Yeah, and it's not. They're fart smelling movies. Like it's not like they're not really good, but it's
Right,
like
they're
oh
Oscar bait.
yeah, it's and you look back into the past of like these. We did a whole month on like 1939, right? Like probably one of the greatest years for the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, we didn't even like scratch the surface of like all the movies that were up for Best Picture that year. And all the ones that we saw or that we reviewed were amazing. They're great. The stories are great. The characters are compelling. Everything's like, and they're all different in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but like nowadays, there are movies that I'm interested in. I mean, I watched Top Gun Maverick. I thought like the story there was amazing. That
Mm-hmm.
was great.
Oh, we gotta talk about that for sure.
I watched The Batman. I really like that film a lot. Actually, next year there's a few films that I did not see in the theaters. Like I ended up watching horror. Actually, had a lot of a resurgence this year. I did watch X and Pearl. Those are really good movies. I had a lot of fun watching that.
Okay.
I did not get a chance to watch Decision to Leave, the new Park Chan Wook film. Uh, of Old Boy fame. He had a new movie that came out this year that I have not seen yet. It's called Decision to Leave. Um, I did watch The Northman this year too. That was
Mm-hmm.
a fucking fantastic film, but no one went to watch it. It did terrible in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And the director's good. The acting is great. It is a brilliant film. It's very Shakespearean, but it's set in like this like Norse setting, and it's great. And I want more people to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, you're right. It's like the movies today are there's a lot that are lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're just missing something, and it's funny because I'm looking at like a lot of like Korean cinema recently, and they're coming out with like more the stuff that they're coming out with has a lot of great compelling stories. Maybe it's not at the same level as some of like the great the great American classics,
Mm-hmm.
but damn, some of those films that they're coming out with are so good. um like obviously like Parasite really kind of set the world on fire, and I still love that film a lot.
Right.
But even like some of the more recent stuff that's been coming out, and I've been going back and like watching a lot of Korean cinema. Like I saw The Devil and Old Boy, the Vengeance trilogy. I watched all that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just blown away by like how good some of these great Korean directors, like what they've done is really good stuff. Obviously, we did Snowpiercer last month.
Mm-hmm.
How much we love that. Um, but yeah, there's definitely something missing in American cinema. Like, I think the problem is everyone's looking for, oh, we gotta reimagine stuff. We have to have representation. We have to have a universe or a franchise, and they're not actually just focused on telling a good story.
Right.
Uh,
I mean,
it,
and
it,
even to give credit to, like the big franchise and stuff, I think of the big like franchises, I think Marvel did like the best job in giving a spectacle, but then also telling a story.
oh yeah, they've lost their way in like this most recent set of
Right,
films.
right. The whole like the Infinity Saga was by far the best blend of spectacle and storytelling
Yeah,
from a big franchise from a big
to me, they
franchise.
had one miss. They only had one miss in like 25 films. That's fucking amazing.
Uh-huh.
That's a great batting average.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, because I still haven't watched it and I never will. Um, but all the other films, like even like the I mean, you'd probably say like Thor: Dark World is maybe like the weakest, but even that still has like it's really good. Um,
Actually, no. Actually, I would say Captain Marvel's the weakest.
well, I'm excommunicating that film.
Ah,
I've never
okay.
seen it and I never will.
Okay, yeah. So Captain Marvel, notwithstanding, then you would say Thor: The Dark World is the,
Probably the
at
weak.
least within the field of the Infinity Saga.
That's correct.
Okay.
But even then, I still like that film. I enjoyed myself.
Hmm.
I found it and I think if I remember correct, I think I've seen all of the films outside of Captain Marvel. I watched those all in theaters too. Now they're all
Right.
pushed.
Yeah. If I'm thinking about it, there's not one Marvel movie, at least within the Infinity Saga, that I didn't watch in the theaters
I think
first.
I saw all of them.
Yeah.
Even the forgotten Incredible Hulk film.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah, I think I did too. Yeah.
Everyone forgets about that one, but it's like, yeah,
Right.
that's. I kind of would have liked to see Ed Norton continue as the Hulk because I think he actually did a really good job, but
Hmm.
that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's just, but that was kind of like one of the few things where, oh shit, Marvel did this thing, and they're telling good stories. The movies are fantastic. They're making a bazillion dollars. Fuck, we had to catch up to them. Everyone tried to do their own thing, and they missed the point. They missed the
Right.
point. Like you have to tell good story.
Right.
You have to have a vision. You have to have good writing. You have to have good stories, and then let it play out. And you have to you stick to that plan instead of but DC and everyone else, they kept trying to hit these 5 run home runs that it's just impossible. You're not gonna catch up to Marvel. Just do
Right.
your own thing.
Hmm.
And
Right. And like even like with like the whole like DC stuff, it's just like I forget like there was like someone like some Warner Brothers employee put out like an open letter talking about how like hey we're fans, okay, so just take your time and we'll still and we'll show up. All right, you don't have to worry about us not showing up. We will show up, but just take your time with it. And it's just like, yeah, perfect. That's exactly it. Because like the studios are like, oh no, we have to catch up with DC. We have to catch up with Marvel, and we have to, we have to be on par with them. But it's like no, just
you don't.
you don't. All right, you can get to wherever you're supposed to go on your own time or on your own timetable. You don't have to be where Marvel is. That's asinine. You know, because I'm sure ultimately, Kevin Feige had it in mind that event, like Endgame would have been, the end. That's the goal, but I'm sure he didn't have an exact idea of how everything was gonna go.
No, obviously there was changes and stuff things. He had an idea, but then you have to be flexible at the same
Right.
time.
Exactly. Like, yeah, yeah. He had, there was a destination which was Endgame, but but then he got there by one story at a time.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, it's kind of this. I hope I think there is I think we are starting to see a little bit of a resurgence of maybe seeing more of non-franchise movies coming out. Um, we've seen stuff like The Northman. The Whale. That's not a franchise. There's not like a whale universe. God for
Right.
God
I
help
God, I
us.
hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not.
There's not going to be a whale two. I guarantee it. Um,
Right. Or they could do like a spiritual franchise, and so like maybe each movie is like dealing with some different sort of like trauma, where whale was like obesity or like and family dynamics or what's it like let's see, sexual orientation.
Yeah,
And the next one could be like the person could be bulimic or something.
I mean, there are elements in the whale where it's like I kind of would like to see um, what is this supposed cult that caused all this damage. What happened with the Brendan Fraser's lover? Like, how did he starve himself? Why did he starve himself? Yeah,
Oh, see it from the different point of view.
yeah, like I said, I was still like I was still curious and I wanted to know more. The movie did leave me wanting more, which I think is a good thing. But at the same time, like I don't want to see a prequel to the whale. I don't want to see a whale 2. And there won't be. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to have just these single
Yeah,
films.
standalone
Yeah,
stories.
yeah. And I'm not anti-franchise. Obviously, some of my favorite movies are part of franchises. Like I love Predator. I love Aliens. Alien and Aliens. I love Beverly Hills Cop. One of the movies that we're talking about does. Well, I mean, it has a sequel. Both movies that we're talking about today have a sequel, and there was talk of like more Kill Bill films, which hasn't happened yet, and I'm not sure if it will.
Right. I mean, if they did, then I promise you, it's going to follow Vivica A. Fox's character's daughter.
That exactly. You have that I because I did research on that. It's like that is what Quentin Tarantino wants to do. He wants to see like the revenge of her daughter, of Vivica Fox's daughter. Yeah, that's exactly what, and it just hasn't come about yet. Because, but so I'm not anti-franchise. I do like franchises.
Right, of course. Neither am I. And I mean, and I think movies. I think stories like The Godfather. I think if it was only Godfather 1, it would have been fine.
But and it was initially only supposed to be the first that
Right,
one
just one movie. Yeah, exactly.
and they kind of pressured both not only the author of The Godfather, Mario Puzo, but they pressured
Francis Ford Coppola.
To like we need a sequel to this because it's too good not to be to have a second movie. There's more there, and I think I talked about this in our initial Godfather review. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But there is Martin Scorsese was supposed to direct the second one, but because Coppola wanted to produce it but not direct it,
right.
So he was going to tab Martin Scorsese to direct the second one, and the production. Fuck no, we need you to be the director. Like that's and they gave him a whole bunch of concessions. Like the first one, they hated everything he did. I hate that. I don't like this casting. You suck as a director. Blah blah blah. You suck. And like there was
the box office receipts came in. It's like holy shit.
Fuck, everyone liked this movie. Man, your decisions were good. So the second one, they just let him do whatever he wanted, and they didn't complain about a goddamn thing. He said it was the smoothest production he's ever done.
Yeah, and like, because I heard him like recount the story. And it's like, they basically like for the second one, he didn't want to do it, or at least he didn't want to direct. But like they pretty much pulled up to his house with a dump truck full of cash. And they're like, okay.
Oh, yeah, him and Mario Puzo, because Mario Puzo had to write the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there was no Godfather 2 story.
So. No, and he actually, it's funny because Francis Ford Coppola also apologized because it's like now there's always like I there was never like part 1, part 2 until I did it. And now it's like, but now everybody does that. It's
Right.
like, and I caused that problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, but I do hope that there, this latest uh, era in cinema is a renaissance of sorts, back to self-contained stories,
I
you know
think
that
we're getting.
that don't necessarily have to go that don't have to be franchises or don't have to have like multiple installments. Because that'd
Yeah.
be nice, because it'd be nice to have like one nice story and just like, oh, okay, that was good, or oh, that was a horrible story, but it
Well,
was
we
it was
have
well acted.
we have directors that are doing that right now, which is kind of good. Like we have Robert Eggers. Like he's not doing like sequels.
Mm-hmm.
All his movies are self-contained. The next movie he's doing, I think, is Nosferatu. He's doing a remake of Nosferatu, which, because he's doing it, I'm gonna watch it because I think he's gonna do a really good job. Um, but yeah, like the Witch, the Northman, the Lighthouse, those none of those are like those aren't going to be franchises, and they're great movies. They're all fantastic. You have Ari Aster. He did Hereditary. He did Midsummer, which you didn't like, and I think
No.
he's working on this like new Joaquin Phoenix movie. Bo is Not Afraid or something like that. Which I like the director. I think it's going to be a good. So we'll see if it's a good movie. Aronofsky.
Right.
He's not
But
doing a
yeah,
franchise.
but I also hope that the studios will also will be disciplined enough to be like, yeah, we don't need a franchise.
That's that's the key.
Yeah, that's the
Are
key.
they where or if it's like one of those things where like they're not calling for franchises, but let's say like in the case of so in the case of like a movie like a couple of movies last year, X was a movie that was done last year, which is fantastic. I really like that film a lot. The director Ty West, because it was filmed during the because they filmed it in New Zealand. They ended up having to pause production because of the COVID pandemic. But during that time that they were off, the main star and Ty West worked together. It's like, hey, we've been working on this on the character of like the serial killer in the first movie. And it's like I have some ideas. Do you want to like let's work on something? And so they did end up creating a prequel or an origin story to the killer in X. And I think that like when you watch those movies back to back, it's like it does make it does make both movies better because when you watch them together, I think they do like they're a good pair. Um, so like stuff like that is fine. I think that where it's like, hey, there actually is more to the story. Let's do something with that. But that's based off of that was based off the main star Mia Goth and the director Ty West, kind of like figuring stuff out, and it got greenlit. And it's like, hey, we're stuck here. Why don't we just film these two movies? Because we have story written, we have everything here, and both of them were, I mean, bargain basement like uh um yeah the money was not that much, so their budget was pretty low. So it's like, yeah, sure, why not? And both of them are really good films, and so yeah, like stuff like that I think is good, but I think it's like it has to be like a natural thing. Same thing with franchises have to be natural too. Like, um, does the star want to do it? Does the story merit another sequel, several sequels? Does and we have good franchises and we have bad franchises.
Right.
So
Or yeah, it's like or they try to take franchises, past their logical, expiration date. I think
yeah.
I think classic is the Terminator franchise.
Oh God.
I literally think that Terminator and then Terminator 2. That's it. That's all they needed.
I am gonna add Terminator Salvation to that.
Right. Yeah, because
I
that's
do.
the only movie that they give us the future war.
I
But
am unapologetic.
I do wish that there were laser guns.
I am an unapologetic fan of Terminator Salvation.
Okay,
It is a
I'll allow
good,
it. But
it is
yeah,
a good film, and
but
everyone
yeah,
probably
Rise of the Machines, and Genesis, and Dark Fate. They did not need to be existed.
Terminator 3,
Specifically, Dark Fate
Genesis,
didn't
and
even.
Dark Fate suck ass. Fuck
All
those
right,
movies.
Dark Fate specifically didn't need to exist. All right, and if it had to exist, it didn't need to exist in that way. Because Dark Fate is bullshit. I haven't even seen it, but I know it's
Dark
bullshit.
Fate is I have seen it. It's fucking bullshit.
I haven't seen Dark Fate, but I know it's bullshit. Just because I know that they kill fucking John Connor in the first opening scene.
Genesis is an Oscar winner compared to Dark Fate.
All right.
Fuck.
But maybe okay. This perfectly kind of leads into. There's nothing really. We don't have anything planned for tonight, other than the movie reviews. But what we're talking about now does lead me into I think one of the best sequels to come out of a non-franchise is probably of last year, probably Top Gun Maverick.
Fuck, it's so good.
It is so good. That movie has not that movie has doesn't have an ounce of fat on it.
No, it has no business being that good.
I know, right?
I remember so there was all this controversy with this film, and I was like, "Oh God, here we go! It's all the same. It's all the dumb bullshit. We're gonna cater to China. We're doing all this stuff."
Oh yeah, because like the patches on Maverick's jacket, from the original one had like the Taiwanese flag, and like if this movie is gonna be screened in China, China's not gonna allow that.
Yeah, and I think eventually now the jacket is not a really big deal. It's not it. You see the jacket for like 2 seconds.
It's a blink and you miss it kind of thing.
Yeah. So, but here's the other thing. Here's what raised a lot of like my fervor for the film is because all like the funding that China was going to give to this fell through. For some reason, it fell through. And like Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise was kind of like the leader of this thing, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, well, fuck them then. So we're just gonna do what we want to do." And here's the thing: the story is good. You have a story. Well, one, not only is it a good story, but it makes sense. It makes sense, because it is a film that is 30 years later. You have a character that of Maverick, who in a way hasn't grown up. He's still like kind of the same guy from the film, the original film, and he has been an important part, but he's been a thorn in the side of the Navy. I kind of like that character. I do like someone who's in the thorn in everyone's side. Yet you have a guy in Iceman who believes in Maverick.
Right, or he believes and he knows that what Maverick has to offer is valuable.
And so he has protected him throughout his career. And it just like all the characters made sense. The story made sense. Like you felt you have all these new characters. Oh, everyone's crying. Oh, it's a woman in here. Oh, it's like all this. It's like all the characters made sense. You like the new characters.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like as though like she was saying like, "Oh, I'm so great because of my pussy." No, it was just established that she was one of the best pilots in the Navy. Yeah, it's like that, and that was it.
No one gave a shit to you as a woman,
right? And she was a likable character.
I liked her character. She was awesome.
Right? And she wasn't constantly saying like, "Oh, you're just afraid of my pussy." She wasn't constantly going on about that throughout the entire movie. She was sympathetic. She cared about the other pilots. When Rooster was going through his shit, like she was the one that go and talk to him.
Her and Bob together were awesome. I love that team. They were great.
Absolutely, yeah.
And here, the thing is you have a good story, that has none of the what I talked about. Like it doesn't have a message. It's not representation. It's not a reimagining. It's just a continuation of a story that I liked from the 80s, continuing now, and it makes sense. Great. And it was the no, it was I think it was the top grossing movie of the year.
It was.
It's actually one of the highest grossing movies of all time. I think it's 12th all time.
Mm-hmm.
They brought it back to theaters in December because the movie was so fucking successful. They brought it back for a 2-week run in theaters. Come on.
And it was one of the first it was one of the first modern movies to not benefit from the Chinese market.
Yes. It was the best fucking movie of the year. I would say like my top 3 of the year were this film. Top Gun Maverick is number 1. You have The Batman and The Northman. Those are the best films of the year, hands down.
Well, I haven't seen The Northman. I would agree with you. I would agree with you on the first 2. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you have to see The Northman.
All right, it's in the queue.
I didn't get to see it in theaters. I literally caught the last showing in the theaters of The Northman.
Oh wow.
Oh God, I watched it with Dan the Man, one of our friends of the podcast. Fuck, dude, it is so goddamn.
But Maverick is so good. I love that movie. And yeah, there was like some things where like, I don't think like would have happened if it was real life, it wouldn't happen. Like the whole nobody knowing who Maverick is. Like the scene in the bar. It's like, of course, like they would know who Maverick is. Like they would be talking about him all the time. At Top Gun. And it's just like them not knowing who Maverick is ridiculous.
It's great. I love that they did that.
I know, but in the context of the movie, like it's fine. I completely buy it. I don't care because it services the story.
My wife cried during this film. Like she loved it so much. Like because we watched the original Top Gun. She's like, I liked it, but it's not like it didn't touch her like it does you and me. Like we love the original a lot. Mm-hmm. But then she watched Maverick and she's like, well, first she's like, I'm so glad I watched the first one because otherwise this wouldn't make sense to me.
Right.
But then like because she knew that, it's like fuck, like this movie is so spectacular. Like I can't believe that. She cried during like the Val Kilmer scene with the Iceman scene, and like because when I told her like
who wouldn't cry? I mean I even got a little choked up at that.
Well, I told her the real story with like what's going on with Val Kilmer, and she started bawling her eyes out. It's like honey, it's like it's sad. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like she was like I can't believe he's dying in real life.
Well, actually, at that time he was dead. Well, when the movie came out, he was already dead.
Did he die?
Yeah, he passed away.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
He didn't die.
Yeah, he passed away, sadly.
Get the fuck out of here. He did not die.
Are you sure? I could have sworn that he passed.
No, he's not dead.
Are you sure?
No, he is not dead. I'm sorry, I had to look this up because he's not dead. He is not dead.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's still alive.
I could have sworn there was an announcement that he passed.
No, he's not dead.
Okay.
Won't be acting.
Okay, yeah, but I promise you, because realistically, this movie was shot in like 2019, 2020, right?
Right.
So like, and then it recently got. I could have sworn. I promise you, not that he actually died, but I promise you, I remember seeing an announcement of his death.
No, he is not dead.
Okay, I mean, I'm glad that he's not dead. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm happy that he's not dead, but I promise you, I saw an announcement that he had passed.
Now we will do a Val Kilmer month at some point, like if he does die, because I
Right.
do like Val Kilmer.
Mhm.
Have we reviewed Heat?
I think did we? I know we
No.
did watch it. No, I think we did.
Whenever I don't remember, we had to go back because I need
I
to,
know we did Heat. I think it was no, we did do Heat. We did review Heat.
just the two of us.
Yeah. For the live stream, yeah, we did.
I gotta create a spreadsheet because
Yeah. That'd be
you
useful.
and I are gonna have to work together to create a spreadsheet because
Right.
I'm getting to the point where it's like we've done so many reviews now. I'm like,
Seriously.
fuck, do this film.
Seriously. But okay. Anyway, oh yeah, Val Kilmer's not dead. I was mistaken.
He is not dead.
I misremember it because okay.
Val
Again,
Kilmer,
I'm not saying I'm glad he's dead or whatever. But I promise you that I remember seeing an announcement, like not just like on social media or something. I remember watching like one of like Extra or ET that Entertainment Tonight that that Val Kilmer had passed.
Retired. He's definitely retired.
Right. Okay.
He's kind of like it's not quite as it's like him and like Bruce Willis. They have kind of been forcefully retired
Mhm.
because Val Kilmer would still be in films. Do you think that like he wouldn't have been a bigger part of like Top Gun Maverick if he could have been? Hell yeah,
Right. Of course, yeah.
I need to watch that documentary of called Val or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I do want to watch that. It's on Amazon, I think. I did actually. The other thing I did want to talk about, like, because that happened over the break. I have been slowly increasing my physical library of movies.
Mhm.
There was a huge sale on Criterion, and like I found most of the stuff I got was on sale. Um, so I kind of wanted to show some of the movies I got.
Okay. Hold on,
Um,
wait. Before you do that, I just want to ask you this one thing. That in Top Gun Maverick, um, when they go on the at the end of does Rooster accept Maverick as his father?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because we did talk, we did talk about this.
We did.
So, yeah, we well, not on stream obviously, but we're gonna do that right now.
Oh, okay.
Is that when you have like where he is in the plane and he's like, "Talk to me, Dad."
Mm.
He's not, and it's not like we hear Goose's voice. Obviously, who do we hear? Whose voice do we hear right after that? It's Maverick's. Maverick has been looking out for Rooster his entire life. That's why, like, although he's done it in maybe a haphazard way, he's done it to of the wishes of his mom and like what he thinks Goose would want him to do as his like father figure.
Right.
Because what we find out is obviously like Rooster is an orphan. His dad's dead, his mom's dead, and so the only one that is like around is Maverick, and he maybe he's not the best dad figure, but in that moment he's like, talk to me, Dad, and that's when you hear Maverick on the radio. It's like, don't think, just do, and like he's always been there for him, whether he realizes it or not, and maybe it kind of like similar to a father kind of like hating or a son hating the father for like some of the decisions they make for them. Obviously, like that's what happens here, but then it's like it's a reconciliation. They
Right.
end up
Right, because it's not like because when he says "talk to me, Dad," it's not like it goes quiet and like he's like he's internally having a conversation.
no
Like what he, like kind of like the spirit of
literally
his dad or whatever, and then he decides
next,
to engage thrusters and take off.
all we hear is, don't think, just do.
Right.
And that's when he's like, fuck, okay.
Right, and that's when he engages the throttle.
And I think that's the moment where he accepts Maverick as his dad, or at least his father figure.
Right. Yeah, because another an important scene, I think, just before they're on the deck, and they're about to start the mission, is Maverick calls out to him one more time, um, and it isn't he doesn't use his call sign. Uh, he doesn't what is it? He doesn't call out his rank, but he calls out his name, and which is Bradley, and um, he goes Bradley, 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 and then he was trying to say something to him, and and then he encourages him by saying that oh, you got this, which I think is important that um, that Rooster responded to like his given name, as opposed to like his rank or his call sign, because
Right.
Maverick wasn't talking to him, as his commanding officer, or he wasn't talking to him as a fellow, naval aviator, but
Right.
he was talking to him like a father to a son, and he doesn't like give like, he doesn't encourage him by giving like the normal platitude of like in the military where it's like, oh yeah, watch your six, or good hunting. He said
Right.
you got this, like a father like encouraging their son, which I think is a great counterbalance point to in the beginning of the movie, where while when they're about to go up, for their combat maneuvers, and Maverick's trying to talk to Rooster, and first he goes, calls him by his call sign, trying to connect with him as pilots, and then he calls them by his his given name, like trying to be that father. It's like, oh, Bradley, 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 and then he has to pull rank, and that's when he gets him to engage. But yeah, in like just before the mission, I think it was a great
Yeah.
counterbalance.
Like I said, it's such a powerful movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like talking about it right now. I almost want to like end the stream just like I gotta go watch Top Gun Maverick. Like I fucking love that movie. It's
Right.
so
Yeah,
great.
and just at the end when
It has no business.
When Maverick thanks Rooster for saving his life, he says, "Oh, it's what my dad would have done," which is nice, and you could think, "Oh yeah, Goose would have done it," but then not in the way that he did save him, because Goose wasn't a pilot, so
Right.
Goose couldn't have taken an F-18 and gone and saved Maverick. It was only Maverick who could have done that, because Maverick is the pilot.
Right.
And so like saying that's what my dad would have done is
Fuck.
saying that
Yeah.
I accept you as my father.
We're gonna, you know what? We might have to like throw that in as a review this year because I
Oh, for
really
sure.
do. I
This movie's so good. It's
It's
so
so
good.
fucking good. It has no business being that good, and
Right? Yeah.
it really is. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
god. Maybe we'll
Absolutely.
do like a 2022 like movie review, like because there are some really good movies from 2022
Right.
that we can talk about. But
Mm-hmm.
fuck, dude, that movie is so. Or if we do another like machismo month,
Mm-hmm.
like that would this and like the original Top Gun would be
Yeah,
like,
we could pair them. We could pair the two
oh yeah, I think that would be like a
and
good
do
one
like a double review for at the same time.
because I actually have a lot to say about Top Gun Maverick.
Mm. Well, I mean, yeah, I would really appreciate your analysis too. Being as you served in the Navy too, so you might have like certain insights into some of like the Navy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the brashness of like the characters. Yeah, like a lot of the pilots are like that. Like they
Mm-hmm.
are like because it it's really hard to be like any sort. It doesn't matter what type of pilot you are, helicopter, fighter jet, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard, and it's the people that do become pilots are they go through a lot of shit, and so yeah, like the cockiness and like the being the best of the best. That's a all it all makes sense of like the assholes that are there, but at the same time, like when push comes to shove, like when it actually comes to the point like where it's like, oh well, it's us or them. It's not about like a competition, but when it's actually us or them, that's when like it's you see the real people,
Right.
and like because
Yeah.
even like kind of like the Iceman dick of the group, Hangman, you see his true colors. He's a good dude.
Right. Oh, that's another thing I was gonna bring up. I love the redemption arc for for Hangman.
Yeah, Hangman's a dick, but like that's because like he's saying is just like, oh, I'm just in Top Gun. It's like I'm trying to be the best pilot. I wanna fuck these people over and be the best. But when it actually came to the time, like where it's like
you have to go and back up, his teammates.
Yeah, so oh shit, like my team's in trouble. Like my teammates, my fellow sailors are in trouble. Well, fuck, I'm gonna help them. And like he didn't like he kind of pulled the Maverick where it's like, well, fuck it, like they're not gonna let me go, but I'm gonna go. Right. I don't care.
Yeah, and I actually think that it's reversed actually because I think Hangman is the Maverick and Rooster is the Iceman.
Oh, okay. Well, do I want to talk about this now, or do I want to wait for the review?
Okay. Well, we'll just cut it. We'll cut it short here. We'll save it for a proper review.
Because I want to know your thoughts. So let's save that for the review because that's interesting. I do want to dive into that, but we'll do that for the review.
Okay.
Because we should
for sure, yeah.
Top Gun
Maverick. Let's not give away the story right now.
But no, I did want to show off some of like the stuff that I got.
Yeah.
Over the break, because I was allowed to buy a bunch of movies. So, I mean, I didn't go too crazy, but I bought a bunch of stuff that was on sale. I'll start off. I'd say a movie that we're going to be doing today is the Lady Snowblood. Well, it's a duology. There's Lady Snowblood and Lady Snowblood Love Song of Vengeance. Haven't seen the second one yet, but we're going to talk about the first one because that is connected to the other movie we're talking about, Kill Bill.
Yep.
Sorry. I got the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy.
Nice.
I don't think we've talked about the first one yet, which is
No, I don't think we have either.
All-time classic. I love that film. I bought because I've watched it already. I've talked about it. I don't know if I talked about it on the live stream, but I know you and I've talked about it with you personally. Is the Human Condition trilogy, which I think is like one of the most interesting films I've seen in a long time.
Oh, I didn't know it was a trilogy. I remember talking about it, but
yeah, it's a 9-hour trilogy. It's a very long series, but like I don't feel like I wasn't like checking my watch watching this because it is very compelling. And it's based off of a book that the director was very involved with the screenplay, and he actually, when they finished up wrapping up production, he thanked all the actors and the director, saying like, this is exactly what I wanted to see from my book. Like they literally did what the book was, and so he thanked them for that. And like this movie actually does have a lot to say. I think it's a very interesting an interesting look at how the Japanese at the time of like the Imperial Japanese Empire, how the actual Japanese people viewed that and how much they hated it. And I think this is really interesting look at that because this came out like not that long after the end of World War II. I have the Night of the Living Dead. I got the Criterion, and most of the ones that I've got are the Criterion collection. They had, like I said, they had a huge sale, so I took advantage. So I got Night of the Living Dead, probably the greatest zombie movie of all time, outside of maybe like because to me there are two good zombie films.
Mm-hmm.
There's Night of the Living Dead and Train to Busan. Outside of that, I'm not really a huge fan of zombie films,
Mm-hmm.
but this movie is fucking amazing. I got Onibaba. That is a really good Japanese horror film. Kind of this is like when I think of Onibaba, it's like kind of uh the scene in like Seven Samurai, right? Like the uh where they discover that the villagers have been pillaging off of samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is kind of like focusing on like what the villagers might have done to those samurai. And it's really fucking scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good film. I really like this film. We're gonna cover it at some point. I think it's really good. Obviously, like, well, we already reviewed it, but I got the Nosferatu Blu-ray. Um, it's a film I love. It's one of the great um, vampire films. Really like that. I got the Man with No. I got the Man with No Name trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So we got like we talked about Fistful of Dollars. Um, Eventually we'll do the other two for a few dollars more, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. All those films are good. Another film that we did with our friends at a Cut Above Horror with John. We did. I got the 30th anniversary of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. And another one that I really I've been wanting to watch that I finally did. I watched this while I was sick. Is the Killers, and this is a two. It's the original and the remake. And what's cool about the remake from the '60s is that this is the last film that Ronald Reagan ever did.
Oh wow.
So, and both of them are they're different and they're all really good. Like the remake has like Lee Marvin, Ronald Reagan. The original is like Burt Lancaster is the big star in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Both of them are really good. I highly recommend. I don't know when we'll do them, when we'll actually review it, but I do recommend. Like, if you want to watch The Killers, check it out. I got one I haven't seen yet. The original War of the Worlds from like I think it was like the 1950s. So I'm really excited to watch that. Haven't had a chance to do that yet. Another one of my favorites that came out on Criterion pretty recently was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a movie we reviewed. We are going to do a re-review along with Dazed and Confused with my dad at some point this year. I don't know when, but I'm gonna set that up. And I just I fucking love this film. It's so good. I think that's also like still one of our highest speed video clips.
Yeah.
Is the Fast Times. It comes up on like my personal feed all the time.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too.
Yeah. Another great one that we did for this is actually our first Christmas special episode was It's a Wonderful Life. I got the Blu-ray of that. It actually this particular one actually comes with like recipe cards of like I don't know if there was like food items from It's a Wonderful Life, but I have recipe cards with this. A movie I haven't seen, but it sounded interesting was Three Outlaw Samurai. Haven't watched that. That's from
Can you tell me what some of the recipes are for?
Oh yeah, let me pull those out real quick because yeah, it's kind of interesting. They have so it comes with pastry snails as an appetizer, a Bailey family homage to a classic canapé. This recipe for flaky, cheese-filled pastry wheels is certainly a hit among all who visit Mary and George in the old Granville house. I I don't know if this is like food that was served at like during like at the dinner table. They
Or
we have
maybe it was the food, when George gives away the money that they were going to use to go on their honeymoon, and then she
maybe
sets up
maybe
she sets up that thing in
oh
the
yeah, maybe
house.
there's like a minestrone soup thing. There's a home blessing salad, corn muffins, a glazed holiday ham, holiday roast turkey, Clarence's angel food cake.
Okay, well that's just tie-in to the
Yeah,
movie.
I mean, like some of them are named, but like I think some of them are like tied into the actual movie,
Right,
and
right,
it's
right.
just like based off of like characters.
Hmm.
There's vanilla moonbeam pies, homemade eggnog. I don't know when the characters ate like eggnog.
Hmm.
Oh, and then there's a drink that they do, the Mama and Papa Dollar uh, cocktail. Um, I think I think it's just an old fashioned from what
Mm.
it looks.
Does it have orange bitters in it?
Yep, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's an old fashioned then.
It's essentially it's just an old fashioned.
Right.
But like some of these, I think are actually from the actual movie themselves,
Hmm.
and some are just like kind of like oh, it's movie based. It's like
Right,
oh,
right,
it's
right, right.
just named after like Clarence and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I was like, cool. I got some recipe cards for like It's a
Nice.
Wonderful Life, along with all like the special features. So
Hmm.
that's kind of cool.
Indeed.
Yeah, like I said, I got Three Outlaw Samurai. My favorite film of all time, Casablanca. Another movie that I think we should do at some point. Robert Eggers' first film, The Witch.
Hmm.
Really, really good horror film. um, Another film that I found kind of interesting based off the description was Kuroneko, otherwise known as The Black Cat. It's a Japanese ghost film.
Hmm.
Um, I started watching it. I haven't finished it, but it's so far it's really freaking good.
Hmm.
Another film that we've covered on the podcast, Gone with the Wind. I got the 70th anniversary edition of that. Another one that I was finally able to get, one that we just did, Pool Hall Junkies.
Nice.
Although
That's not a Blu-ray, right?
no, they do not have a Blu-ray of Pool Hall Junkies.
Hmm.
It is it's just the DVD. I really wish that they would come out with a Blu-ray for it being, it was the 20th anniversary last year.
Hmm.
It's such a good film. It deserves a Blu-ray release. I think another film that we've covered too was Citizen Kane. This has a lot of great extras, special features on here.
Hmm.
There's there's 4 discs. One is obviously the movie. The rest of them are special features. Like that's like there's so many different like essays and like or video essays and all this stuff just based off of like what how people feel about Citizen Kane, which is it really is an influential film.
Hmm.
I did rewatch it recently, and it's it's starting to become like one of my favorite films. It actually is really freaking good. I do like it a lot.
Hmm.
Um, I got the Universal Classic Monsters Edition Blu-ray. This also has a lot of great stuff. Um, a lot of great extras. It has like a little booklet talking about the films, and it's been kind of fun, like learning about some of my favorites, like Dracula and Frankenstein,
Hmm.
and like a lot of the how they restored the films, and kind of the story of like how they even like how these movies even got started, and like what the influences are. So that's been a lot of fun. Noir classic that eventually we'll do, Double Indemnity. I think it's probably the greatest noir film of all time. It's really freaking good. A film that I came to because our friends at A Cut Above were doing The Phantom Carriage. It's a silent film from 1921. This is the film that inspired um, the famed director Ingmar Bergman to become a director. It is a really good, silent horror film. Another one of our favorites, Cape Fear, that we've reviewed. I got that. The Hammer Horror Collection. I got there's 8 films on here. This is the British version, kind of like reimagining the Universal classic monsters. Another good Japanese film, the Samurai Trilogy. It's the story of Musashi Miyamoto, starring Toshiro Mifune, one of our favorites. Really good trilogy. We'll have to do this at some point too. I know a film that you'll love that we've talked about, Gilda. Yeah, Criterion had. I didn't know Criterion had a release of Gilda, so I'm actually really looking forward to looking at the extras on this one. Another film we've done, Paths of Glory. Got the Criterion release of that.
Solid.
Yeah, I got the Predator movie collection. Obviously, Predator 1 and 2 are awesome. The other ones are, but that's okay.
Although I do have an appreciation for Aliens versus Predator. I know it's sacrilege.
So this does not have AVP. That's a separate collection.
Right.
I do want to get the AVP collection. This is so I have Predator, Predator 2, Predators, and the Predator. But I don't. I like I said, I have a soft spot for AVP as well. I think I do like it, but it's not good. It's kind of how I feel about Jason X. Jason X is a terrible film, but I loved. Right. And the last few that I have here, I got Harakiri, another film that we're gonna have to do at some point. This is a really good, heartbreaking film. It's a samurai film. Another, I got Lon Chaney and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And another film that we're going to do with Dan the Man, it's a good Jewish film, The Golem. This, we did actually, Dan the Man did come over a couple days ago. We did watch The Golem, and I am blown away by how good this movie looks. The restoration looks fucking great. It's so good. And it's I'm actually kind of curious. There are 3 different audio soundtracks that came with it. The one of them I think is supposedly the is supposedly the original, and the other ones are kind of the ones that were redone. So I don't know which one of them is the original. We saw it with one of them. It was really good. I'm curious to check out the other 2 and check out how they some of the other extras that are on here. But it's just there's audio commentary about the film. But man, it's yeah, Dan and I end up having a really long conversation about this film. It's really good. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, I ended up getting a lot of films. I think I tripled my my physical release selection. Some of it's stuff that we've already done. Some of it's stuff that I hope we do in the future. It's stuff that I try to get films that I'm always gonna go back to, that I really like. Pool Hall Junkies, I'm gonna go back to that film, and it has the what I'm looking forward to is there's not a ton of special features, but I do want to listen to the audio commentary with Mars Callahan, because I really like that guy, and I think he is a. I wish the film had done better. I really do. I mean, he's happy with what happened, but I just man, I really wish this film had done better. because it deserved to. It's so good.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, I too feel the same way. Like, I wish it commercially it done better, but you got to give it to the guy, because that interview that you sent me of him, and like, every step of every little advance, every little step forward that he was able to make, he's like, I'm good with it. And I
it's like,
think like, and I
well,
think
then I'm
yeah,
good.
and I think like him, like even just having it released and like like existing is enough for him.
Oh, he's over the moon that
Yeah.
it even exists, that it got
Mhm.
made.
Right. Exactly. So, and like so much respect for a guy to have that perspective. Particularly him like been in the business for so long, and as an actor, and then as a director, producer, and things like that, and just like
Yeah.
still having that kind of perspective where it's like if this is all that it is, then it's enough.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, I've done something that no one's ever done. And
Hmm.
I starred, directed, and wrote the movie.
Hmm.
He's
Exactly.
like, no one else can claim that.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
he's got a one up on Stallone.
that's right. That's what he was looking for. It's like I'm gonna one up Stallone. It's like,
Right.
but yeah, it's like, all these movies like I love, or like, I'm like really curious about, and I these are all films that I'm gonna go back to. Like I'm gonna go back to a bunch of times. Like I do love all these films, and I'm just really happy that I was able to get a bunch of this stuff on sale and kind of add to my collect. But because I do want to grow the physical collection, just because who knows? Like the stuff can be taken off of streaming, willy nilly. Like there was a short period where Gone with the Wind was just gone. It's like no, everyone was taking off their streaming site because of whatever stupid controversy that was out there.
Or
And
perceived controversies.
yeah, it's like it's one of the greatest movies of all time, and it's long, but it's like it needs to be viewed by people.
Hmm.
And it's not
Absolutely.
making it's not like Birth of a Nation, like where obviously there is like a message that's being presented there
Hmm.
that like no one believes in, obviously. But like Gone with the Wind is just like it's telling a perspective based off of people who did live in the South at the time of like pre and post Civil War, and some of like the struggles that they probably went through, and they did go through. And it's like it's just telling their story. And it's a very good story, and the
Hmm.
cinematography is great, the directing is great, the story is good, and it's like, and Clark Gable is amazing in that film. It's probably his best film, outside of maybe like Run Silent, Run Deep, because that's a good film too.
Hmm.
But which
Yeah,
is
I was just thinking we have to do a submarine month.
yeah, Run Silent, Run Deep is definitely in that fucking like in that vein, because
Yeah.
that is what um what's the film that we did with Denzel and Gene Hackman?
Yeah. Crimson Tide.
Yeah, Crimson Tide. That Run Silent, Run Deep is what Crimson Tide became. Like they definitely watched that film when they
Yeah.
were with their movie. So
Mhm.
we'll have
Yeah,
to
and I
do.
know, like, yeah, and I know, yeah, we put, and I, yeah, because Crimson Tide is a submarine movie, but we put it more in like kind of like that, military just,
Procedural,
yeah, yeah, procedural kind of military
yeah,
procedural like movie,
yeah.
but it's definitely a submarine movie, and there's a bunch of submarine movies that because of course we didn't even do the Hunt for Red October, because that's the sub movie, I think at least in like uh the modern era, because like there are a lot of sub movies that have come out um in recent years, and it's just all kind of, and they all take like homages or little things here and there that definitely tie back to like the aesthetic, and the things that they did in the Hunt for Red October. So yeah, definitely Hunt for Red October. And another one of my personal favorites, U-571. That's a great. That's a historical fiction movie. Because it takes place on a submarine, and and it deals with what is it? The Enigma coding machines that the Nazis were using, or that the Germans were using in World War II.
I I've never seen U-571.
Oh, yeah, it's one of my personal favorite movies.
Yeah.
What is it? Because it's not just about the mission or a submarine or things like that, but it's also about like personal growth.
Yeah.
Particularly for Matthew McConaughey, because Matthew McConaughey is in this movie. Matthew McConaughey, he's a star, but it's about his character's like growth. And I think you might enjoy it.
Well, I'm pretty sure I would. I do.
Oh, and I also want to do Das Boot.
Oh yeah, is that a Werner Herzog film?
It might be, yeah.
I
I
have to look
can't
at
remember
that.
for sure, but that sounds right.
Let's take a look.
But yeah, and then Run Silent, Run Deep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, there's a bunch of submarine movies that are out there. But as I was saying, like I don't think we even reviewed Hunt for Red October.
No, we have not. And well, because I did want to do a Jack Ryan month, but like there's
Oh,
five of them.
yeah.
So, but there's five of them. So
Mhm.
we can split off like Hunt for Red October
Mhm.
into like a submarine month.
Yeah.
No, it was not a Werner Herzog. It was Wolfgang Peterson was the director.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I would love to do Das Boot. Another movie I have never seen.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny because it's always like because people like other YouTube review channels have talked about it, and it's like they always say like it's the only time you root for the Nazis.
I had to. Fuck. But now I'm interested because it's like what? Man, that's okay. So yeah, that well, now we have our submarine month for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
no.
but yeah, God, there's so many movies that I want to watch. There's so many like I have a bunch of stuff that's on like my list. There's stuff that like I almost like want to like rewatch and like kind of like because now that I have a lot of these like Blu-rays, there's so many extras, right?
Mhm.
So I want to like look at some of this stuff again, and it's I'm trying desperately to get my wife to watch stuff, but it's like anything that's like black. Well, anything black and white is out, so I already know that. But I think like I can get her to watch like because I've been luring her towards like the 70s.
Mhm.
I've got her into like at least a couple of 70s films. She did watch Halloween. She did watch Alien, which we do need to redo that episode for Alien, which we'll set something up for that. But the what did I have her? I I did actually have her watch some stuff recently where I was like, she got excited. We ended up watching the entire Alien franchise because she's like, oh, I've never seen like Alien. We ended up watching Alien Resurrection one night with Dan the Man and James came over.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, you guys like want to watch? Like, I showed them like all my new like Blu-rays. Like, hey, do you guys want to watch stuff? Watch something? It's like, yeah. Oh, I've never seen Alien Resurrection. You want to watch that? And it's like, yeah, that sounds fun. So we watched Alien Resurrection. My wife liked the film a lot, so it's like, oh well. And she was like wondering like, what happened to like the girl and like the soldier and like everyone from Aliens is like, oh well, you need to watch. You need to watch Alien 3. You haven't seen that yet.
Mhm.
So we ended up watching the entire like quadrilogy again, and she's like, "Oh wow, this is actually a lot of fun." Alien 3 and Resurrection are not like as good, but she still enjoyed them. So I was like, that's good. Like, I'm glad she
Is
enjoyed
Alien
them.
3 the one with Winona Ryder?
That's Alien Resurrection. That's the fourth one,
Oh, okay.
which is not as good, but it's enjoyable. We're gonna do, like, because I think like this year, what I want to do throughout the year is do kind of like an Alien retrospective, like going through the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of assume that there's probably not going to be another one, which is a shame. Um,
Oh yeah, I mean, because what is it? Alien Covenant was it?
I did
Yeah.
see. Here's the thing: I did enjoy Prometheus. I did enjoy Alien Covenant, and I liked what Ridley Scott was doing. But I'm probably the only one. Um,
You really might be.
so
I
I'm
mean,
gonna.
I'm not saying that I hated Prometheus. I thought Prometheus was interesting.
Prometheus is fucking fantastic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, Covenant. It isn't fair because
Covenant, Covenant is
Covenant.
definitely
I actually haven't given it the time to watch it the whole way through. I've only watched it in like parts.
yeah. Covenant is
Um,
definitely worse than whatchamacallit is worse than Prometheus. Prometheus is way better than Alien Covenant,
hmm,
but I still I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good movie. I liked it,
okay.
but I'm the only one. So, but yeah, we're probably gonna go through. We'll bring on some guests. We'll talk about the whole Alien franchise.
Anyways, yeah, yeah. Again, we don't have anything really planned, but I think for the sake of Rob's lungs, we should just move on to our movie reviews.
Yeah, what? Let's do it.
Do you want to do like kind of like interconnected, or do you want to do like more like separate reviews?
I'm fine either way. Like, I thought like maybe we should. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Lady Snowblood, or do you want to start with Kill Bill?
Well, I mean, in the schedule, Kill Bill was first,
Well,
but
let's do that.
Lady Snowblood, is just it's like you can't really talk about one without the other.
Well, now that I've watched both of them, I'm like, fuck, like this movie. So, so for those of you that don't know, Kill Bill was based off of a movie called Lady Snowblood. Um,
Right.
I did not realize that until I actually watched Lady Snowblood because
Neither did I.
when I was buying a bunch of movies over the Christmas break, I was going through the Criterion collection and Lady Snowblood came and was like, "Oh, this is the film that inspired Kill Bill." It's like, well, I'm sold. So I was like, really? And then I watched Lady Snowblood. I was like, holy shit! The whole
Okay.
film is like
All right.
this is like Quentin Tarantino took so much off of this film.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's kind
All
of
right.
ridiculous how much he took off of it.
Right. So yeah, let's just do a concurrent one where we talk about both movies.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, like you really can't talk about one movie without talking about the other. So we might as well just talk about them at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, so I'll hit everyone with the synopsis, and we'll get going.
Are you gonna do a synopsis for both?
Synopsis for both, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, there's a synopsis for Kill Bill Volume 1. After awakening from a 4-year coma, a former assassin wreaks vengeance on the team of assassins who betrayed her. Lady Snowblood.
That's yeah.
What was it?
No, I mean that pretty much sums up Kill Bill.
Hmm. Lady Snowblood. A strikingly beautiful young woman is trained from birth to be a deadly instrument of revenge against the swindlers who destroyed her family. Yes. Yeah. So those are the synopsis for the movies. Kill Bill Volume 1 came out in 2003. Dang, 2003, 20 years ago. My gosh.
God, I know this. It's like we're hitting the 20th
Yeah,
anniversary.
and then Lady Snowblood, which came out in 1973, which is 50 years
50
ago.
years ago. Yeah, it's crazy. Like to think
That's
about that.
that's some crazy shit right there.
Yeah, that was not planned at all. By the way, that's coincidence.
Yep.
Um, what do you? When did you first come to Kill Bill? Like, did you watch it like in theaters when it first came out?
Can I say that again?
No, I was saying like, when did you first come to Kill Bill? Like, did you watch it in theaters when
Well,
it first came out?
oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I came upon it when it came, when it was announced. Probably late 2002. I was just a year. Oh wow, that was like yeah. It came out almost like a year after I graduated high school. Um, uh, yeah, and so yeah, and I did go watch it in theaters, and it was amazing to watch in theaters, of course.
Fuck, it was great, right?
Yeah. Um, a lot. It was really interesting because it was this was like one of the first major like Western studios to incorporate a lot of you know uh, like the Japanese aesthetic, not just in terms of like kind of like the gore of like fight scenes and blood splatter, but then also the incorporation of even animation, with like some
Yeah,
of the stories of like the Uma Thurman's bride character kind of telling the story, but then also and I think it was good that went this way about talking about the backstory of Oren Ishii, Lucy Liu's character,
yeah.
because there's no way that you can do that in like some of the scenes, like there's no way you can do it in live action,
Fuck
uh,
no.
particularly the revenge scene where where she kills the yakuza boss who murdered her family because he was a pedophile and she was uh, like I think like 7 years old when or something when she took revenge.
Yeah, so it's something crazy like that.
Yeah, so there's
Uh,
no way of like doing that scene with like actual people and act like
well, and the reason, like, from what I have heard, is that the reason why like they had like the anime scene and why like part of this section like where the bride is just going ape shit on the crazy 88s, why it's in black and white. It's a more of to keep them from going into NC-17
right.
territory.
Yeah, like the academy. The academy basically said, "Oh, there's too much blood."
Yeah.
Right.
It's too.
But interestingly enough, the first tie-in to Lady Snowbird is uh, the dialogue, the line that is used in that flashback scene, where when Oren's character is killing the yakuza boss, he says like, "Oh, does my face look familiar? Does it remind you of someone that you murdered?"
Yeah.
That
Well,
that was lifted specifically from Lady Snowblood because the character of Yuki, Lady Snowblood, she utters that line to one of the guys that raped her mother.
yep. And if
Just
you'll know,
just switching murder with rape.
the song that plays when the bride kills Oren at the
Oh
end,
yes.
that is the Lady Snowblood theme,
Hmm.
which we actually get which is kind of nice that we actually finally get the fucking lyrics in Lady Snowblood,
Mm.
as a because we don't get that in Kill Bill,
Hmm.
but we do see that in the movie Lady Snowblood,
Hmm.
where we get the lyrics like, oh shit, like it's kind of like we get some lyrics to that song,
Hmm.
and it's like, damn, this is like, it's almost like that the Oren character was stolen from Lady Snowblood.
Right. It's
Or
like yeah, it's the lady. It's like the Lady Snowblood character is switched with um, like the daughter of one of the guys that raped her mother.
yeah,
They get that. I don't. I'm running. I guess I'm rushing through, but that ultimately gets revenge on her at the end.
yeah, it's kind of like, or you could almost say that like maybe like the character of Lady Snowblood is like they kind of split the character of like the bride and Oren are kind of like intertwined in that sense, where they're almost
Right.
like the story of Lady Snowblood kind of splits off into like these two characters.
Right. Or yeah, they split the character of Lady Snowblood into these two characters, where each of them does have a revenge story, but it's just we're just going through the bride's the
Yeah,
bride's revenge story is the main one.
yeah. Um, speaking of Kill Bill though, like how do you feel like compared like because obviously when it first came out, we watched it in theaters. It was fucking awesome. We
Mm-hmm.
we all loved the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched it like probably like 3 or 4 times in theaters. It was like I liked that film that much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you feel about it now? Do you feel the same about it, or are there things where you're like you look at it, it's like, oh, maybe this is dated, or I don't like this as much as I quite did. Um, how do you feel about it now?
I still enjoy it. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I still enjoy it.
I still enjoy it. It's just as good as when I first saw it in theaters. All those years ago. Um, yeah. I thought this was a perfect distillation of certain like Japanese cinema tropes. Um,
I think it
like
has a lot of like different like it's not it's the whole well Kill Bill 1 and 2, which actually were supposed to be one whole film,
yeah.
but Miramax forced Tarantino to split it up, so and that allowed him to not cut anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if maybe uh, would you have rather had this as one long film, or do you like the fact that it's split up into 2 films?
I think two films was the way to go. I think one like super long movie would have been overindulgent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I agree with that. The I think that was the right choice,
Mm,
but that also allowed him to do, I think, everything that he really wanted to do because this was his homage to kung fu,
mm,
samurai films, spaghetti westerns, noir. I mean, everything that he loved because Tarantino is no, he's a guy that just like he watched a lot of films
uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
he emulated a lot of those films that he loved from his childhood
Mm,
and his like young adulthood. That's what he created.
right.
And this is his fourth and fifth film.
Mm,
Technically, it's all his fourth film,
mm,
and he just shoved everything that he loved from like all the films that he watched into this. And but I think it works.
it does. It does. And it does. And again, to reiterate, I do think it was the right move to do two movies because, if it was just one long movie, again, it would have been overindulgent, and there would have been too many of like the genres that would kind of like I think be too crowded because I think in the first movie you definitely get the noir sensibilities, especially because of like the narration, which is classic noir. But then also you get the Japanese cinema, and then in the second one you get like the Western and the kung fu movies.
Yeah.
And
Like I
so
said,
yeah, and having that space to breathe, uh, I think it really benefited from being two movies.
yeah, and from what I remember, these came out like 6 months apart too. Like so, like Kill Bill
Yeah,
Volume.
because I think the volume one came out like last quarter of 2003, and then Kill Bill came out like second quarter of 2004.
Yeah, yeah. So they were very close, and I remember, you know, I don't know about you, but like I think at the time when I first watched when I first watched them, I like Kill Bill Volume 1 obviously a lot more than 2. But in this, like, rewatching, because I did end up watching both volumes back to back this time.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was things about the first one that I liked less, and there was things about the second one that I liked more. I don't think I liked the soundtrack as much in the first one. The soundtrack in the first one, in some ways, kind of annoyed me more this time.
Or could it be maybe because of the impact of the first one? It's like now, like that's that scene where Oren is walking into like the club or whatever. Like that music that everyone uses that
No,
music.
that I like. That I think that part was cool. Obviously this is one of the films like where they did like the slow motion walk. Well, this is the first time that was done, and it was cool. But then every fucking movie after that like emulated that.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like because of the success of this movie, like that it was like it was so popular to do that particular style and maybe even use that particular music. Is that it became like it became hackneyed for you, and so now like when you watch it again, it's just like
maybe that's what it is. It's just like maybe the
the novelty is worn off.
Yeah, and I think like understanding that this is the first one to do it, pretty much. You have to think about that. So, but yeah, because I remember like my wife watched it too, and this was like kind of her second viewing of like volume 1. And she's like, I really don't like the soundtrack. Like I don't like some of the music she likes, but there's certain things like she didn't like the band that was used in that like restaurant or whatever or club or whatever that the Crazy 88s were at. She's like, I don't like what they're doing. Like they suck. I don't like the music. She didn't like the soundtrack like when well, we know her as Beatrix Kiddo now, but before, like, she's known as the bride, or we don't really know her full name. And it's like where she when she sees her target, there's like that like kind of like the I think that soundtrack is called like Ironside or something like that, like where she sees her enemy.
Yeah. It's basically seeing red.
Yeah, you're seeing red essentially. She didn't like that part either. She's like, that's really annoying. It's like, well, she's probably like, I was trying to think. It's like, well, the character's really annoyed at these other people.
Angry. Yeah, she's angry at these people, and like that's a visual and sonic cue for the audience to know what's going on in her head.
Yeah, well, it's like, and so in a sense, it's like I can see, like, for me it wasn't bothersome, but I can see like where like someone like coming to these films today will be like, yeah, that's fucking weird. Like, I don't like this. And it is like too much a little bit, because there are times where it feels like, yeah, it is a little too much. But overall, like, the movie's fucking great. Like, I mean, it starts like it's heavy hitting right from the fucking start. We have the pussy wagon pull up. We see like the door opens with like was it Vernita Green, Veronica Fox's character. After we do get like obviously the idea, like our character is kill Bill essentially like shoots her.
I mean, well, like talk about it, like hard hitting from jump. That first scene where like you have a bloody bride, and you have Bill standing over her, like saying like just like kind of like monologuing, but then it's like it's like right before she gets shot in the head, it's like, oh, the baby's yours, and boom, it's like, holy shit.
and then you have like the Nancy Sinatra song of
Yeah.
"Bang Bang,"
Hmm.
which is another song that like my wife didn't understand. It's like, what the hell are they talking about? It's like, well, you have to think about it. It's like she was shot in the head. The bang bang of the song is about like a gunshot essentially. It's like that's what this is talking about. And I think the song what was this song done for this movie or was it
No, no, no.
done
It already existed.
that okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and then yeah, definitely because it talks about a bunch of kids when they're little and they would play and it was talking kind of like about almost a May December relationship. At least when we find out because Beatrix and Bill are in a relationship and Bill's very much older than Beatrix.
Which is another something that my wife couldn't figure out either.
Right, but
Why
it's like
would
even
this?
in
Why
the
would
like
this like?
I was 5 and he was 6, so
Yeah, but like it was like the other thing too is like it's like why would this young woman like who's pretty like go with this like super old dude? It's like he's super charismatic. He is a manipulative guy.
Mhm.
It's like he is a very like everyone probably got like man or woman was probably infatuated with like
Yeah,
what
or at the
Bill
very
had
least
to say.
attracted to him.
He's
And
a
not
very attractive person.
Yeah, and not necessarily in that sexual kind of way, but maybe for the women, but yeah, but just like he's a very attractive person. Like he draws in people to him.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of like what Bill does. Like
Mhm.
he is a very attractive dude.
Yeah,
Um,
aka hence his handle, snake charmer.
Snake Charmer, which we find out at the end of Volume 2.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, like but like right from the get go, you get a bunch of action. You get a bunch of like, oh shit, this movie is like fucking awesome. And then we start to learn the backstory of like some of these characters. Not only like the bride, but the assassins that she's going after.
Mhm.
And obviously, like Oren's story is so fascinating because like
Mhm.
I almost want like I almost want an Oren movie. Like
Well,
I
I
think
mean, yeah. Well, I mean, you do, but it just came. It just came. What is it? 30 years before Kill Bill, and that was Lady Snowblood.
no, but exactly, which we're going to talk about here in a second.
Mm.
Um, but I was like, when I was in theaters, I was like, fuck, I almost want to have like a whole movie on Oren because she's such a fascinating character, and you almost feel sorry for her because her story is so tragic,
Yeah.
and but it's like, nope, she's got to die,
Yeah.
and god damn, like that her like getting she got that like special sword from like the famed
Yeah.
Hattori
Sword. Yeah.
Hanzo.
Mm. Who's
Uh,
who's ba- who? The name is of the character is based off an actual person in Japanese lore.
is it?
Yeah. I forget. I think he was either I think he was a famed samurai or a ninja.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that that was actually based off of like something real.
Yeah.
Because obviously like the I was talking about like the samurai trilogy. Musashi Miyamoto is obviously he's based off of a real person, but there is a legend based off of him too. So, fact and fiction tend to come together with that guy. Um, but she gets like this sword from Hattori Hanzo, who was one of like the figures that kind of helped Bill become who he is,
Mm.
and I think because of his interaction with Bill, he decided to stop making like weapons of death
Death. Yeah.
and kind of made like this blood oath with with God, but because of like be our the bride
Because he's sympathetic to the
her
bride's quest.
exactly. So it's like okay,
He,
I'll help you. I'll do one last sword I'm gonna
mm,
make to help you.
mm,
Um, and and then like after that, she ends up going to Tokyo to take on Oren. And fuck, dude, like that whole, that's probably like that whole hour of like the last hour of that film
Mm,
is her taking on like Oren and her gang.
mhm,
And holy shit, it is one of the greatest action scenes in movie history.
mm.
How did you like? What did you think about like that whole like scenario? Like, did you like? I still get chills watching the whole like fight scene with like the Crazy 88 and like Oren and all that stuff. Like, I still like fuck. I still get excited watching that scene.
Yeah, it's still one of the greatest fight scenes committed to film, in my opinion. Um, because first you have like kind of like the initial like underlings, and then all of a sudden like you just have like she's surrounded. Um,
And I like the idea like where she's like, "Did you really think it was gonna be that easy?" It's like, for a second there, yeah, I did.
yeah, yeah, the banter is awesome. Um, and just yeah, and I think it was I really hope at some point we do get a non-black and white version of that fight scene.
That would be great.
I'm just yeah. I mean, not to take away from. I mean, I know they only did it for for to get a skirt around the rating system here in America, but
I wonder
yeah.
if there would be like an unrated, like, because we are coming up on the 20th anniversary.
Hmm.
Maybe we do get a special, like, unrated 20th anniversary edition of Kill
I
Bill.
I hope that happens. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, again, not to take away from what we got, but yeah, I'm just curious. I just like to see how it would have gone without the transition to black and white. And you could all you can and Tarantino could have easily just made a uh, come up with an answer like it's to show her resolve that like at that point like everything is black and white, like it's you're either gonna you're either gonna live or you're gonna die. And and
The other,
that could have been the reason why like it goes black
yeah.
and white, because that's like her mindset where it's like either I'm gonna die or they're gonna die, or I'm either gonna get my revenge or I'm gonna die here right now.
Here's the other thing too, because the first volume is definitely a samurai film.
Yeah.
It is his homage to samurai
Right. Yeah.
films.
Exactly.
I
Exactly my
wonder if
point.
maybe the other thing too is like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have to do something like to help with like the quote unquote blood factor and like kind of keeping the rating at an R rating. I also another film that we did obviously is Sword of Doom.
Mm.
I wonder if maybe he had obviously Tarantino has watched the Sword of Doom. I
Mm.
guarantee he has.
Oh
Was
yeah.
he paying homage to The Sword of Doom, which is a black and white film that is also super bloody and super grotesque?
Mm.
Um, because we do have like the snow. There, so here's the other thing too, because The Sword of Doom was from the '60s with Toshio Mifune, Tatsuya Nakadai. Lady Snowblood has the opening, one of the opening scenes in Lady Snowblood is that snow scene,
Mm.
which I don't know if you thought about this. Both of them being Toho films, I think. Um, there is that snow scene,
Yeah, I got
and
it.
yeah, okay, so you got that, and that's what we kind of see towards the end of at the final battle with Oren.
Mm.
But I also wonder if like maybe like going black and white and being super grotesque was kind of like an homage to the Sword of Doom.
Maybe.
It's like, okay, well, if I have to like do something to help with like this the censorship, to keep it at this rating, it's like, well, the Sword of Doom was super bloody, so I'll just go black and white
Mm.
and just be as fucked up as possible because it's still really gross.
Mm.
It's possible.
Mm. Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah,
overall, yeah, it's a great movie. You know, I love, the final confrontation was great. Um, because you had them like still like verbally sparring, and but then if you notice, after the bride gets in like that cut on Oren's leg, that's when they pull out the soundtrack, and it's nothing but like you just hear them like the clanging of swords,
yeah,
which I thought was a really great move.
I really did like that part of it, like where I think it's like I think the soundtrack was kind of a little bit chaotic, but it was also like restrained, like when it needed to be,
Mm-hmm.
because he was definitely trying to pull from a lot of different like genres of like film,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was some old stuff. Obviously, like, we'll talk about that when we get to Lady Snowblood. But then there was also stuff that was like new stuff that he had done, but it was based off of like the old stuff that we have watched in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and he was kind of trying to put that all together. And for the most part, I think it worked. I think it was a really good, exciting soundtrack, kind of a lot of fun. Um, but just because I know we're probably never going to talk about the second volume, do you have any thoughts on that at all? Do you remember anything about Volume 2? Do you remember like liking it? Did you like it like
Oh
more or
yeah,
less than the
yeah.
first one?
I love the second one as well. I couldn't say if I like the first one better than the second one or the second one or the first one. I just loved both these movies. Yeah, because I remember when I watched the second one in theaters, there was that scene with Pai, the when she first
Hi,
meets
mate.
Pai Mei, right?
Fuck
And then
yeah, dude.
and he issues that challenge like, oh, go, pull a sword from that rack, and if you land a single blow on me, I'll call you master. And then during their fight, he kind of leaps onto her blade, and I remember the reaction of everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my god!" Everyone lost their
Hell
mind.
yeah, dude. It was great.
Um, so yeah, 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 yeah. So the first one was definitely an homage to like the Japanese cinema, like particularly like samurai movies and things like that. But the second one was definitely an homage to like kung fu movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
like the
Kung
total
Fu
aesthetic,
and
like even with
Spaghetti Westerns.
I'm sorry.
It was Kung Fu and Spaghetti Westerns is the second
Yeah.
one.
Mhm. Right, because when she goes to go train off with Pai Mei, even like kind of like the shift in like even the film grain changes, and it looks very much like the old kung fu movies, and even like with some of the training sequences where you, like the background, it's obviously a matte painted background, when Beatrix is like practicing her,
Oh yeah, the
you know,
eagle claw
yeah,
technique. Yeah, it
hmm
was fucking great, but it
yeah,
still looks so good.
yeah,
It looks so good, and you have like the whole like training montage and her like trying to break through that fucking like giant piece of wood,
hmm
which I don't know if she ever actually completed that actual training,
hmm
because otherwise she would have broken through the fucking coffin and like blah blasted
right.
through it pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah,
But
because
she did like
it's never fully stated that she completed the training, but but she got to a point where she gained enough of Pai Mei's trust that he taught her the five finger palm floating
yes,
heart technique.
that's the thing. It's like so she definitely like she earned his respect,
Mm.
which I think is technically part of the training, is earning
Yeah.
Pai Mei's respect,
Right.
where he teaches you something like and I think she's the only student that ever learned that technique from him.
Right.
Because
Because even Bill didn't learn that technique.
L definitely didn't learn that because she killed him,
Right.
and but she learned like the eye, like the eye
Yeah.
plucking
The eye
technique.
pluck. Yeah.
She learned like the whole like eagle claw technique, and
Mm.
she probably learned a hell of a lot,
Yeah.
because she listened to the idea of like no back talk, No, no sass, no bullshit. Just
Just do.
submit.
Kind of, don't think, just do. Kind of going
Yeah,
back to the
yeah.
Maverick thing.
The Maverick technique.
The Maverick mantra: don't think, just do. Um, but yeah, it is pretty. Yeah, it's or or was it that Pai Mei? Like he kind of had like that woo woo ability, so he could tell the character of Bill, because like maybe Bill was like just as good of a student, but he knew his his inner characters, and
Yeah,
that's why he didn't teach Bill that technique. But
I
he was
have
able to see within the inner world of Beatrix, and he saw that she was a worthy student and someone worthy to carry on the legacy of the five-finger palm exploding heart technique.
now. Did you know and that Pai Mei was also the same actor that played Johnny Moe, the head of the Crazy 88s?
Yes, I did know that.
Okay, you did know that. Did you also know that the Mexican guy that was like kind of like Bill's father figure was the same actor that played the sheriff from El
From the
Paso?
first one, yep.
Okay, all
I
right.
did
So
know that.
you did notice that.
I did
That's good.
notice that. Yeah.
I was like, God damn, like that's some fucking good acting, by the way.
Yeah. Seriously, especially on part of the guy who plays the sheriff and Bill's pimp father figure.
That's like the same type of acting that what's his face did with in like the Magnificent Seven, like the bandit that was played by a Jew.
Oh yeah. That's
That's a
right.
good
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
acting.
Eli Wallace.
Eli Wallach. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name for a second. Yeah, Eli Wallach. What an actor. It's the same type of thing because the
Yeah,
dude's
and then he years later he goes on to play an Italian in Godfather Part 3.
That's right. So it's kind of like the same thing here, like where it's like you have a white guy that's playing a Mexican and he does a fantastic fucking job.
Right.
Did because I at the time I didn't really like put two and two together
Right.
when I first watched these films.
Well,
And I'm
neither
like,
did I. But then having going back and watching, after having watching the second one and then going back and watching the first one and just recognizing the names, I was like, wait a second, the
oh shit.
Esteban guy, same act, this actor, sheriff, what's his face, same actor. It's like
Yeah,
what?
and the guy that plays his deputy in him as the sheriff and the deputy, they're really that's his son.
That's his son. Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. He calls
Yeah.
him son number one, but it's like, oh god damn, it's actually his real
His
son.
actual son.
Like,
yeah.
So
Amazing.
yeah, it's like both these films are so good. And I didn't like Volume 2 as much initially, but watching it again back to back, and watching it with my wife, I'm like, I really did enjoy Volume 2 a lot. I think the soundtrack I liked a lot more in the second one. And I think the story, touched me more in the second one, as far as you get more background, you understand the characters more, all that type of stuff. So yeah, to me, Kill Bill is fucking awesome. The fourth movie of Tarantino, I think he did a great fucking job.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Do you want to save the rating for after Lady Snowblood?
Yeah,
Or you want to give it now?
let's save it to the end. We'll do both our ratings at the end.
Okay. for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Lady Snowblood. If
Is this your first time coming to Lady Snowblood?
yes, this is the first time watching. I yeah
Same here.
I. But again, it's kind of like that that concept we came up with cinematic archaeology. You know, if you watch Kill Bill, you kind of get an idea of Lady Snowblood. Um,
Well, I mean, it was like you obviously know when you with Tarantino, you know he's taking from other things.
mm,
Um, maybe at the time I didn't know necessarily where, but I knew it's like obviously it's based off of kung fu. It's based off of samurai films. It's based off of spaghetti westerns. But now that like I have a critical eye, I have understanding a better understanding of film now. I'm like, oh, this is from this the bride is dressed up as like one of Bruce Lee's characters with the yellow leather suit. Um, some of the scenes from Volume Two. It's like, oh, this is based off of like Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy. um, and then you have I had no idea about Lady Snowblood. Like it was literally chance that I came across this film.
mm,
I was looking up the Criterion Collection, and this film it was like on the recommended list. And it's like, oh, if you're a fan of Kill Bill, this is the film that it's based off of. And I'm like, oh well, fuck, I'll check that out. And then I watched it. I was like, oh my god, they're like the soundtrack, like the moves that the characters make, the strong female characters. Oh my god, he stole so much from Lady Snowblood. It's like it's great. I love the film. Um, what did what did you think about like what did you think about the story? Did you like it? Did you think it was like a good movie? What what did you think of it?
yeah, I like the movie. I like the movie very much. But yeah, just yeah, Lady Snowblood is Oren, and Oren is Lady Snowblood. There's no way of getting around it.
Yeah.
Um, down to like Oren's origin story. And it makes me a little sad. Not sad, but I'm a little. I don't know. It just gives me bad feelings because like in like the anime part of Oren's origin story, I did notice after watching Lady Snowblood that the Yakuza boss that murders Oren's family does look like the actor who plays the priest who
Dude,
raises
right?
who raises the Yuki, the Lady Snowblood character
Yeah.
in Lady Snowblood.
I
Um,
think I think that was done on purpose.
yeah, me too. Especially when it's revealed that the Yakuza boss is a pedophile, and that's how Oren gets her chance to kill him. Um, and I think that might be just Tarantino's uh, analysis of like the relationship between Lady Snowblood and the priest character. Because yeah, there is that scene where he's like training her with and like he and he like slashes the kimono off a very young actress who's playing like
Yeah, that scene was really weird.
yeah
I didn't see it as like a pedophile moment.
yeah nor
It
I.
was just like I think it was more of a I saw that as him trying to toughen her up. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh, if you're gonna just like shy away from like having your clothes cut off, and you're still not gonna try to attack, like you're worthless.
Mhm.
That's how I saw it.
Mhm.
But I could see like where people would see that and it's like, oh, this dude's a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see that.
Right. I mean, yeah, particularly in today's mindset, or like at least where the Overton window is now. Um, but yeah, it's like I was a little disappointed is a good word. Disappointed that they modeled the Yakuza boss after the priest essentially. And I
I
mean, you can say like, oh, it's just a coincidence or whatever, but it's like, look at those two. Look at the priest from Lady Snowblood, and then look at the Yakuza boss from the animated section of Oren's origin story, and tell me that's not the same person.
Oh, dude, it is. You're totally right.
So yeah, disappointed in that, but other than that, yeah, it was a great. Lady Snowblood is a really good movie.
Dude, it
Um,
now do you there are times where I'm like, I might like this movie better than Kill Bill.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, because Lady Snowblood is Oren Ishii. Oren Ishii is Lady Snowblood. I mean, to the point where, like, when Oren is taking, again, I mentioned this before, but when Oren is taking revenge on the Yakuza boss, she utters, the lines like, "Oh, does my face look familiar? Does it look familiar? Like someone you murdered?" That's literally the line from Lady Snowblood when she's killing one of the people that raped her mother. It's like, "Oh, does my face look? Do I look familiar? Does my face look familiar? Does it look like someone that you raped?" It's like that. I mean, yeah, they switched out the murder for the rape, but it's the same line, and so it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
Oren is Lady Snowblood. Lady Snowblood is Oren.
but something with like these films, and we'll talk about this more as the month progresses, but revenge sometimes is maybe like not. I think we see like the downside of revenge in these two films, especially at the end of Kill Bill, Volume Two. We see, obviously she gets her daughter back, but she's crying at the end of like everything. It's like,
Right. It's a very confusing time for her because like she's happy that she has her daughter back, but she's also sad that she had to kill her lover, and it's just like she has she hates him, but she still loves him, and that whole scene was, I think, beautifully shot
oh God, it was
because
perfect. And I
yeah.
was like, and because once I explained that to my wife, she was like, "Oh, I get it." Like, it's like it's because like, why is she crying? It's like everything should be happy, right? She got her revenge. Is like, yes, but she got more than she bargained for. She all her emotions are released right now. She is relieved, sure. She's happy, sure. She's also very sad because the person that she loved the most in the world, who had betrayed her, but she also still loves, despite that, is dead
Mm-hmm.
from her hand.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, there's this guilt, there's this sadness, there's this fear.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is like shown up
Yeah, there's
all
this
at once.
uncertainty.
You can also kind of see that in Lady Snowblood. Was the revenge worth it? Because
Mm-hmm.
her whole life was based off
Right. She
was
was
she
literally born to take revenge.
lost or a demon?
What was that?
Well, the term that they use in the film, she was born to be an Asura demon, which is like
Oh.
a symbol of revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Her whole life was to avenge her mom and her
Mm-hmm.
parents,
Yeah, her family.
her her family. And she does get that revenge, but at the same time, she obviously was extremely hurt by the end. And but was it worth it? Like, was it worth all that pain? Was it worth all of it to get this revenge?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're gonna, as we go through the month, I think we're gonna keep asking that question, like, was it worth it? you know.
Right, because like her getting revenge on that one guy with the kid, it just perpetuated the cycle of violence because the daughter then felt compelled to avenge her father and attempted to kill Yuki, the Lady Snowblood character.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and I mean, and if Yuki, had a kid or whatever, and then found out about this, then I think her kid would feel obligated to take revenge on her, on the other girl who killed Yuki.
Yeah, it's
And
almost like a never ending. It's almost like a never ending cycle, and
exactly,
we see that too in Kill Bill because the first person she gets revenge on,
well,
her
technically
daughter
second.
watches her murder.
Yeah, well, technically second,
Yeah, well,
but
yeah, technically second,
yeah,
but the
but
first
yeah.
person, like, as far as like in the movie, the
Mhm.
first person that we see get killed, have it like the her daughter watches her mom
Yeah, her
get
daughter
murdered.
witnesses. And then even what is it? What we'll eventually find out to be Beatrice Kiddo. She even like tells her like it's like believe me, your mom had it coming. But if you still feel if you grow up and you're still feeling raw about it, come find me. Basically
Yeah,
saying like just let I'll if you're still feeling a ways about it, then we'll settle accounts as it
yeah.
were.
Well, and there was talks, or there still are talks about a Kill Bill Volume 3 and 4, but hasn't happened yet. But it is based off of that idea that the daughter of Vivica A. Fox's character, Bernita Green, does want her revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the continuing of that cycle, which is kind of like the downside of revenge. It's like it does create this bad, horrible cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, because it's funny because like some people like they feel like they need it to like keep that hole inside their heart from existing, but then after you achieved your revenge, what is it like? You have nothing left. All you have is the hole.
Right.
As opposed to trying to fill in that hole with something else, with something positive, like moving forward, starting a family or whatever, living a good life. Your life is consumed with the idea of revenge, and you never really, develop as a person.
Yeah. Well, I that's where I think like the speech by Bud in Volume 2, where like him and Elle are talking, is like, well, what R do you feel? And he's like, well, usually people who go into retirement, end up dying, but the ones that keep continue to work tend to like live longer because they have something to do. But people like in our line, you know, warriors and their enemies tend to live a similar thing. And it's like, do you feel regret or relief that your enemy is dead? And that's where you had to think about, like, I think the same thing follows with like Beatrix Kiddo. Like, do you feel relief or regret that your enemy is dead?
Right. Yeah. From volume two. Yeah. That great kind of philosophical question that Bud presents to L. Um, I think definitely could apply to the Lady Snowblood movie. Um, because once she did get her revenge, it's like she thought that she could rest, that she could feel relieved, but whoop, here comes that man's daughter, come and stabs her in the gut. So you know, it's yeah, it's yeah, and so like yeah, the idea like revenge is, this never-ending cycle is true. And what is it? The first Kill Bill, it even starts off with it like kind of tongue in cheekly, uh, with the quote, revenge is a dish best served cold, old Klingon proverb, even though it's from Macbeth. Um, who like no one wants to eat a cold meal. It's a cold meal is what is a warm meal is what invigorates you and gives you like new life. But a cold meal, yeah, it'll satisfy you, but it won't give you life.
Right. But yeah, I think it's just like I when it because we're gonna be doing like revenge month, and it's like when you think about revenge, it's like man, it's so satisfying in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but in the end, I don't know if it brings anybody happiness
Mm-hmm.
because
Right. I
sometimes like
mean, yeah, because what is it? Wind River. You know, there's that's another revenge ish movie, and
dude,
and as satisfying as that ending is, it's it doesn't bring back that girl. It doesn't bring back that daughter to the father. Um,
nope.
and so yeah, you have the satisfaction of the perpetrator getting his, but you're still left empty. And if you're not actively trying to fill that void with something else, with something that will give life and not like leave you this broken voided person, then revenge will only fill the hole for so long.
And maybe that's where like the wisdom of like vengeance is the Lord
Hmm.
becomes so true,
Hmm.
where it's like God sees like the injustice,
Right.
and He will make it right.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
maybe
it's
in
like
the moment
yeah,
that doesn't.
it's
Maybe in
I think that might be one of the most comforting lines in the Bible.
yeah, and maybe in the moment that doesn't comfort or it doesn't like. Well, fuck! I want justice
Yeah,
right
I want
now.
retribution right now. But yeah, because it's like
And
it's like someone gets away with murder and then they go on and they become a millionaire or whatever, and they got a Bugatti or whatever, and and a G6, and it's just like you see that and you go, God, where is your vengeance? But you don't know what the internal world of that guy is. Like, you don't know, like he could be dying of cancer tomorrow, or
yeah,
he could be dying of cancer, or he could be hit by a bus, in 3 days or whenever, or he might just go to hell, you know. But I think that line, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I think it's very comforting because it's saying like no one goes unpunished. Everyone will get theirs.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
nothing. Yeah, nothing. Like no one is beyond my. God says no one is beyond my reach.
But I think like it's one of those things where it's like for when it comes to the movies,
Mm-hmm.
there is that like sure you look at it, it's like oh was the revenge really worth it?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like in the movies we're like fuck yeah we want like we fuck that person we want them dead
Mm-hmm.
we want we want this person to like kill all these people and then like feel good about it at the end of the movie. And when I think about like all like the revenge films that I know about, I'm like none of the characters like really feel happy afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Again, going back to Kill Bill Volume Two. You have that scene where yeah, Beatrix, she has her kid, but yeah, she's in the bathroom on the floor, laughing,
Fine.
crying, all the emotions. It's like
Yeah.
she hated that guy, she hated Bill, but she still loved him, and
She definitely loved
she's happy that he's dead, but she's also sad that he's dead, because she's the one that killed him.
and it's like her daughter doesn't have a dad.
Hmm. Right, and her daughter that lived with her father for 4 years, and so like
Yeah.
so she obviously loves her father, and then she's soon gonna a father that was very loving towards her and who took care of her, and played games with her, and played make believe. She's gonna and then what if one day she finds out that her mom was the one that killed her father?
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Let's say that Beatrix forgave Bill. Like after everything that happened, do you think that well, first of all, do you think that that's what Bill was hoping that like maybe they could like reconcile? And do you think that like it could have worked between them? Because it doesn't feel like Bill was a bad dad. I think he did a really good job with BB.
I think I think if they reconciled at the church, it
Well,
could have.
Bill definitely made the first mistake.
Yeah, but I think if okay, well, your question was if she forgave him. So that means like she would have to have gone through all that shit. Um,
Like okay, so like the whole movie happened, right?
mhm.
She killed
But at
everybody.
the end, she forgives Bill.
Yeah, because she like maybe she realizes that like Bill's actually been a good dad. I want to be with BB. Maybe we should be together.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be ideal or if not preferred outcome. But given the setup rules of the universe, they're two warriors first. Beyond being, a man or woman or lovers, they're warriors, and so you know, uh, a dishonorable action must be met with retaliation,
True, true.
and so
But like my thing is like, do you think that Bill was hoping that Beatrix would maybe like forgive him?
and try to reconcile.
Yeah.
Possibly, but I don't think he had any hope of that actually coming to pass.
Do you think that he thought he was gonna die?
Yes, or he would have to kill her. Either way, like they like
By the way, so somebody had to
the
die.
fight had to happen, and someone had to die.
Oh man. Yeah, that's fucking tragic. Actually, to think about.
Hmm.
But yeah, like, I guess. But I think you're right about that. Them being two warriors. That it's just like the idea of we have unfinished business. Like you ain't kidding.
Hmm. Yeah, and so yeah, I think even like yeah, and even for Lady Snowblood, it's a tragic character. It's a tragic character because like yeah, she
It's
was
one of the
born.
most tragic character.
Yeah, she was literally born for the sole purpose of revenge. And like the saddest thing is that at the end of the movie, you find out that I mean, I'm sure this is impossible, but like she remembers everything, like from the moment of her birth. Like she knows like all of her aunties that were in jail. She remembers her mother
Yeah.
like laying dying, next to her. She remembers the bitter cold of that prison, and so
The
like
other
what
thing
what
too.
other what other yeah, there's no other course of action for her.
The other thing too is like how sad like the state of like the people that she's getting revenge on really are.
Mm,
Like the one dude that like he has his daughter who like sold herself into like sex slavery,
mm-hmm,
and like he's like essentially like dying.
mm-hmm.
And it's like I look at that, it's like, do I really want to kill this person? It's like his whole life is fucking destroyed.
Right.
It's like he's kind of destroyed himself, like or you could say like, oh, quote unquote, karma destroyed his life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, even like some the only like character from the movie that like is any sort of like challenge is like the main leader of the group who like faked quote unquote faked his death,
Mm-hmm.
and then turns out that the guy is still alive. um that's like, and like, yeah, she ends up killing the guy, but it costs her like a person that she actually like respected in like the guy's son, and like her like friends and people that she cared about. And it's like, was it really worth it to kill that guy who was like, what was he gonna like, he wasn't really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you almost died and the people that you care about ended up dying.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I said, it's a weird like catch-22 situation because we all, as the audience, we want them to get the revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck those guys, like let's fucking just kill them and it's gonna be great. But then it's like, it's, even as the audience, like it's really unsatisfying in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's like, maybe as I've gotten older, I see that. Um, but yeah, I'm just kind of, I look at it as like, fuck, this is really like, it's almost sad that this character has to go through this,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's no satisfaction at the end. At the end.
Mm. Yeah, there's none.
But did you end up liking Lady Snowblood? What was it, something that like was like, wow, I didn't know this movie existed, but I liked that I watched it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. But again, like because of cinematic archaeology, I watched this movie without watching this movie. Um,
Yeah,
thanks
well,
to Quentin Tarantino. But
we didn't know that we had watched Lady Snowblood
yeah.
until we actually saw it. It's like,
Hmm.
fuck, this is, I can't believe that I was hoodwinked.
Yeah. Yeah. But the last thing I will leave with is the actress who plays Lady Snowblood. My God, is she attractive?
Fuck, she is super hot,
So hot.
and like
And
especially,
I think she also sang the theme song.
was that her singing
I
that?
think so. I think I read somewhere like
I
so I looked
I
up because I remember looking up the song title and then said like the singer I think was also the actress.
Let me take a look because I do have that information. Let's take a look. It does come with like a, so in the Criterion collection, I do have a cool poster that it comes with.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can unfold it correctly. It does come with a cool poster of Lady Snowblood with her umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the soundtrack for the song. Uh, it doesn't say here, unfortunately.
Mm.
Let's see. Actually, hold on. It does have the song here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it "The Morning Has Died"? The snow falls in morning. Morning in like
Yeah. Does
the
it say
this.
like who it's performed by?
Um, is it any wonder that Quentin Tarantino loved the poker face delirium of this film so much that he not only lifted swatches of it for Kill Bill Volume 1, but also used this very song, which is called Shura no Hana, the Flower of Carnage, as well. It doesn't say.
Oh.
So Meiko Kaji is the one that wrote the song, but I don't know if that's who
Right.
sang this.
Well, yeah, the flower card. It's attributed to her, but yeah, again, I don't know who's performs it.
I'll have to double check that,
Right.
but like, maybe I'll check that and maybe get back with us on about that next week.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, just, yeah,
it
cursory.
did sound like her voice, at least that was singing it. It would make, and honestly, if that was the case, I really do hope so, because that would make so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the
Oh,
song.
oh,
I
okay. Well,
really love it.
this website last.fm does say that it is performed by Maiko Kaiji, the star of Lady Snowbird.
Oh, okay. Then that her name?
Yeah,
Oh, well then, okay, then
yeah,
yeah, okay.
Maiko.
That
Yeah,
Meiko Kaji.
Maiko Kaji. Yeah.
Oh, great. Then that makes so much sense. It's a beautiful song,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a beautiful actress.
Mm-hmm.
She's fucking hot,
Hell's yeah.
and especially when she's like super angry. Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
that look, that death glare.
yeah.
Oh yeah, so hot.
That first scene too, like where she like fucks up that like gangster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it's like, and like especially it's like some of the moves that she pulls is like, oh my god, this is from fucking Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like the flips and shit. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah, exactly.
and,
You watch this movie without watching this movie because you watched Kill Bill Volume One.
and it's in that scene. It's that scene itself too is also like kind of taken from the Sword of Doom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like the same set.
It may have been it because both of them are Toho
Toho Films.
Films,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
which is another film that I really love. I love Sword of Doom.
You sure did.
Um, but yeah, why don't we give our ratings on both Lady Snowblood and Kill Bill?
All right, yeah.
Why don't you go first, Andy?
All right. For Kill Bill, I'm gonna give it a solid four.
Kill Bill's a solid four.
Solid four.
Is this just is this the whole volume 1 and 2, or just volume one?
Just Volume One. Just Volume
Just
One.
volume one.
Mhm. And for Lady Snowblood, I'm gonna give it three.
Whoa, real only a three,
Only
really?
three. I
Oh,
mean, again, this maybe it's merely technical and just kind of like because of like filming techniques or whatever. Just um, again like all usually all of my dings are because of for technical reasons, and some of like the tracking shots or whatever were kind of like it wasn't steady and it was like kind of jerky motions. Um, I mean, on a good, I mean, it is a really good movie. Don't get me wrong. And I could be talked into bringing it up to 3.5.
wow. Okay. So you and I are going to be a little bit different.
Okay.
So I I'm giving Kill Bill Volume One a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the soundtrack as much as I initially did, like when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
The battle scenes are fucking great. The
Mm-hmm.
story is great. I do like that part of it. I do like the idea of like the mixture of like you have the live action, the anime, the black and white, the silhouettes. I think that part, like that aspect of it, is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will. I'm probably gonna end up buying the. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the whole Bloody Affair version on Blu-ray. Um, instead of just buying like Volume One and Two
Mm-hmm.
separately. They do have like one where it's like the whole thing, like in one go. I think I want to get that version. But like Volume One, I would say like a 3.5, and that it's not because of like it's a bad film. It's really not. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never seen it, you you gotta watch it, and it's one of Tarantino's best films. Uh, but man, Lady Snowblood just like for whatever reason that movie just fucking captured me. That to me, it's like a 4.5 for me, like the first
Oh
one.
wow. Okay.
I really like that film. I think it. I love the actress that plays Yuki. I think she is not only beautiful but like just cool, and it is based off of a like a manga, like,
Right.
and the guy like he's like, yeah, I just wanted to create like a cool female character that's not just some damsel in distress, and it's I wanted to make a cool character,
Hmm.
and fuck, he did. I
Yeah,
think you,
I'm willing to bring it up to a four because Michael Kaji is so hot.
God, she is
She
really
is, yeah, she is super attractive. It's like
smoke show.
stupid how good looking she is.
Yeah, I really like her and she's not just a pretty face because she's a good actress. I
No, yeah,
really
she
like
sells
her.
it.
Yeah,
It's not merely, yeah, yeah. I'm like, if you guys hear what I'm saying, like, I'm willing to bring it up, like, because I already like the movie because like she's a good actress, but like an extra point because she is so attractive.
she's fucking hot, dude.
Yeah.
I really like her. But I like the
You know what?
story
I'm gonna
too.
do that.
Like,
I'm gonna bring it up to a four.
okay, all right, yeah, it's like, I'm a 4.5 on Lady Snowblood. But like, I'm glad you brought it up. But I like the story. I like the revenge tale. I like her. I like her as an actress. I can't wait to watch the sequel. I want to see like what Lady Snowblood Love Song of Vengeance has to bring. Like, is it going to is it going to be just as good? Is it going to be worse? Is it going to be better? But I'm going to check it out. Like, I haven't seen it yet, but I want to watch it. I think it's going to just to see what it has to bring,
Hmm.
because it almost looks like kind of similar to the bride in Kill Bill Volume 1, who's all cut up and like fucked up after like the battle with the crazy 88s and Oren. It's kind of the same thing with Lady Snowblood in the first movie. She's all fucked up at the end of the film, like, and she survives obviously because there's a sequel, but like, how is that going to play into the story, is
Hmm.
um because I think they take place like, or like they were released like 2 years, 1 year apart. 73 for Lady Snowblood, and then 74 was the sequel. So, and it's a little bit like of a shorter runtime for the second one, only 89 minutes versus 94. So,
Hmm.
but I'm kind of curious to see it. Um, and if you don't have the Blu-ray for they do have it streaming on the Criterion Collection streaming site. Uh, Kill Bill Volume 1, I think right now is only on like YouTube
Hmm.
for like rental. Kill Bill Volume 2 is on Amazon and like a bunch of the other streaming sites. So, everything is like readily available, everything we talked about today.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really happy that you like Lady Snowblood. I wasn't sure how you would think about it. I ended up really just loving it to death. I like the character. I like the story. I think it's a cool movie. I mean, the blood is, it's very 70s blood. It's
Right.
like that
Yeah, and again,
super
that's
red.
again, I know it's recency bias, but yeah, it's that's why I ding for technical stuff and like yeah, like I mean I understand what they're trying to do. Like some of like the wide like kind of like crane like tracking shot like wasn't very smooth, and
But like you look at
some of the effects were yeah are obviously dated, and I mean
but like when she cuts that dude's arm off and like it's just spraying blood.
hmm.
Don't tell me like that Quentin
Yeah,
Tarantino.
no, yeah, yeah,
That's exactly
of
what he
course,
did.
yeah.
When like she cut off Sophie's arm in
Hmm.
like in the that club.
Hmm.
Fuck, it's the same fucking scene. It's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. Of course, yeah. I mean, what's a Tarantino film without an homage?
Yeah, I mean all his films are like that because he's a film connoisseur.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a cinephile. Of course, he's gonna do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's all I got to say about our kind of our first two films of the year. We got some good ones. We got Count of Monte Cristo next week. That's Andy's pick. I'm really excited to talk about that because that's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's our review for Kill Bill Volume 1 and Lady Snowblood. Kill Bill, I give it a 4. Rob gives it a 3.5. For Lady Snowblood, I give a 4, and Rob gives a 4.5. Definitely movies to watch. You won't be disappointed with either one. I promise you.
Hell no, they're great films.
Yeah, even though again, I ding Lady Snowblood for like technical things, but story wise, it's good and it's done well, even despite the technological deficiencies for the time it was made.
I would say like watch. Why? I would say watch all three film like or Kill Bill Volume One and Lady Snowblood together. Watch them together. If you can, like watch all four films together. Like you watch, Kill Bill Volume One and Two, and then the two Lady Snowblood films. Watch them all like kind of like back to back to back, and I think you're gonna really enjoy everything.
All right, folks, that's our first stream of the year. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
It's nice not talking to a black screen, so I really enjoyed that.
Um, Indeed. Don't forget to check out the library of other content we have, the Circular Jerks main podcast, Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, and Rob's gaming show Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circular Jerks Podcast. And with all that said, I hope you had a good time. This the first stream of the year. Come back next week and we'll do it all over again.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Have a good night.